Chapter 9:24. Wind and clouds rustle. The rising sun shone through the dense forest and onto the ground, adding some mysteriousness to the tranquil forest. Let's rest here for a while. The palace should be nearby. In the core region of the magical beast mountain range, several figures slowed down their steps, but they were still highly focused and did not dare to relax. The most dangerous place in the magical beast mountain range was the core region. Even though the metal-devouring lion and fire-divine condor were both pinnacle second-grade sovereign realm demonic beasts, they did not dare to behave atrociously in the core region and could only find a place to rest. The core region of the magical beast mountain range was filled with ferocious beasts, and every single one of them was a top-notch existence. Fortunately, Ningyu's perception was relatively strong, and he was extremely sensitive to ferocious beasts. Within a radius of several miles, as long as there was a demonic beast with a cultivation above second-grade sovereign realm, he would be able to detect it immediately, which saved him a lot of unnecessary trouble. "Ningyu, we shouldn't stay here for long," Qin Xiang said. "The core region is different from other places. Not only are the demonic beasts powerful, but they also have weird personalities. Even if you don't provoke them, they will come for you. The safest place in the core region is the surroundings of the palace. Demonic beasts below third-grade sovereign realm would not dare to approach there." "Holy shit!" The Dark Emperor couldn't help cursing. "You're saying that the weakest demonic beasts around the palace are at least third-grade sovereign realm? Then wouldn't we be sending ourselves to our deaths?" Qin Xiang cast a disdainful glance at the Dark Emperor and continued, "There's still an hour before daybreak. In this hour, all the demonic beasts above third-grade sovereign realm will be resting." The Dark Emperor's face turned ugly after being rebuked by Qin Xiang. "All right, let's follow Qin Xiang's words and continue forward." Ningyu did not refute Qin Xiang's suggestion. In fact, he was also curious along the way, as he did not encounter any demonic beasts above second-grade sovereign realm. This didn't make sense in the core region of the magical beast mountain range. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as he said they would leave, Ningyu and the others immediately rose into the air, once more heading towards the depths of the mountain range of magical beasts. The facts proved that what Qin Xiang said was not wrong. About half an hour later, Ningyu and the others finally passed through a dense forest and arrived at the back of a huge mountain. "Is that the palace?" A look of astonishment flashed across Ningyu's eyes as he stared at the palace that was surrounded by several huge mountains. To tell the truth, Ningyu had been extremely shocked to learn that there were mountains deep within the mountain range of magical beasts. Moreover, there was actually an extremely luxurious palace within the mountains. This caused Ningyu to be even more shocked. "Yes, but now is not the right time." Qin Xiang slightly frowned and said, "Let's find a place to hide first. It's not safe here." Ningyu nodded in agreement after hearing Qin Xiang's words. With Ningyu's soul perception, he could naturally sense that there were several powerful yuan qi fluctuations at the entrance of the palace. Whoosh, whoosh. Just as Ningyu and the others hid, several figures suddenly cut through the void and appeared at the entrance of the palace. Ningyu's gaze swept across and finally landed on a middle-aged man. It was not because Ningyu knew the middle-aged man, but because the middle-aged man was emitting an aura that made him feel fearful. Such a powerful yuan qi fluctuation clearly indicated that he had reached the third-grade mortal supreme realm. "Yin Hua." Ningyu's gaze shifted and landed on a cultivator beside the middle-aged man. This cultivator's aura was slightly weaker than the middle-aged man's, and his cultivation was also at the first-grade mortal supreme realm. Ningyu's expression was a little grave. Since Yin Hua was here, then this third-grade mortal supreme realm must be someone from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Investigate. We must get to the bottom of this matter. At this moment, Yin Hua seemed to be reporting something to the middle-aged man. Hearing Yin Hua's words, the middle-aged man's expression instantly darkened. Supremacy Yun Tian's death is not to be regretted, but the golden box on him must not be lost. The middle-aged man's expression was extremely cold and gloomy to the extreme. Supremacy Yuntian was only a peak first-grade mortal supreme realm. His death was not a big loss to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. However, the golden box on Supremacy Yuntian was a treasure. The item inside was the key to obtaining the Dharma treasure from the palace, so it must not be lost. Swoosh! At this moment, the rumbling sound of wind breaking suddenly resounded in the distant sky. The moment the sound was heard, Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat. He could feel that the yuan qi in this area seemed to be boiling. Evil dragon supremacy! The middle-aged man beside Yin Hua looked at the figure that suddenly appeared and couldn't help but look a little grave. The cold light cut through the void and stirred up the yuan qi of heaven and earth. This aura was unusually frightening. Even the middle-aged man who had reached the third-grade mortal supreme realm could not help but gasp at this moment. Spirit Cauldron Venerable, how have you been? The old man, who was called Evil Dragon Supremacy, laughed as he landed before the palace. It's been a long time. You've actually reached the third-grade mortal supreme realm. Not bad, not bad. Evil Dragon Supremacy, I never expected that your corpse sect would also interfere. Spirit Cauldron Venerable coldly said. What interference? Treasures belong to the virtuous. Could it be that only your Supreme Nine Purities Temple can come, and my corpse sect can't? Evil Dragon Supremacy waved his hand. Ha ha ha, Evil Dragon Supremacy is right. Suddenly, several figures tore through the void and landed in front of everyone. The old man leading them laughed wildly. Treasures belong to the virtuous. We can't let the Supreme Nine Purities Temple monopolize them, right? Blood God Palace, Blood Slayer Venerable. Spirit Cauldron Venerable's expression was ugly. Although he had guessed that the Blood God Palace and Corpse sect would send someone over, he never expected that the two sects would send someone with such high cultivation. He had just reached the third-grade mortal sovereign realm, while Evil Dragon Supremacy and Blood Slayer Venerable were veteran third-grade mortal sovereigns. Cut the crap. Since everyone's here, let's discuss how to break the palace. Taking a deep breath, Spirit Cauldron Venerable faintly said, You guys should know that we have to gather all 3 keys to break the palace. As he spoke, Spirit Cauldron Venerable flicked his wrist, and a golden key suddenly appeared in his hand. What 3 keys and 4 keys? In my opinion, there's nothing special about this door. Why don't we attack together and blast it open? Just when Spirit Cauldron Venerable finished his words, Evil Dragon Supremacy's eerie voice resounded with great confidence. This. Chapter 925. 6-winged sky-soaring python. 4 keys were indeed required to open the palace. However, the palace was extremely unstable, so they might be able to forcefully break it open. Alright. Let's work together to break open the gate. The Venerable Spirit Cauldron said after a brief pondering. The reason why the Venerable Spirit Cauldron didn't want to use the keys to open the gate was because the keys had many other uses. For example, opening the doors of the palace, breaking some arrays, etc. Among the 3 forces, the Venerable Spirit Cauldron's side was the weakest, so he had to think of a way out. What are you waiting for? The Venerable Evil Dragon coldly snorted as he stomped on the ground and clenched his right hand into a fist. His figure turned into an afterimage as a massive fist light was formed and he flew out. Boom! The fist radiance swept through the air, bringing with it a series of low explosive sounds in the air, its aura abnormally terrifying. Whoosh! Since the Venerable Evil Dragon had already made his move, the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and Venerable Blood Slayer did not remain idle. They clenched their teeth and formed seals. In the next moment, 2 violent energy fluctuations were formed and shot towards the gate of the palace. The gate is about to be broken open? In midair, the 3 violent attacks collided with each other. Under Ning Yu's gaze, they heavily bombarded the palace's door. However, as soon as the 3 violent attacks landed on the door, something strange happened. Crack! The door of the palace suddenly shattered, and a terrifying pillar of light soared into the sky, easily dispelling the 3 violent attacks. Seeing this, the faces of the venerable spirit cauldron and the rest drastically changed. Roar! In the next moment, an earth-shattering roar resounded from the palace, mixed with desolation and irritation. Not good, it's a 4th-grade sovereign realm demonic beast. Hearing that voice, the faces of the venerable spirit cauldron and the rest turned dark, and they immediately retreated without any hesitation. Actually, it was no wonder that the venerable spirit cauldron and the rest were fleeing. A 4th-grade sovereign realm demonic beast was something that the 3 of them might not be able to deal with even if they joined hands. Not to mention that they couldn't deal with it. Even if they could, they wouldn't foolishly stay behind. After all, they were here to search for treasures, not to fight with demonic beasts. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Not only did the 3 venerable spirit cauldron escape, the cultivators that they brought along also immediately executed their trump cards and fled. Voila! The shock wave brought about by the roar was especially strong. With the palace as the center, all the trees within a radius of several miles were uprooted. Buzz! However, the roar left as quickly as it came. In just a dozen or so seconds it completely disappeared from the world. After another hour or so, the Venerable One and the others carefully returned to the main entrance of the palace. This 4th-grade human supreme realm demonic beast should be trapped. The venerable evil dragon frowned as he slightly released his perception. I agree. Venerable Blood Destruction nodded his head and added, if I'm not mistaken, this 4th-grade human sovereign realm demonic beast was trapped by the creator of the palace. What should we do? Venerable Spirit Cauldron frowned slightly and said, You're like a girl. What else can you do? Now that the palace gate has been opened, do you still want to stay here and be afraid? The venerable evil dragon looked fearless as he spoke in disdain. Thereafter, his figure flashed and he was the first to charge into the palace. Venerable Spirit Cauldron and Venerable Blood Destruction fixed their eyes on the venerable evil dragon. They wanted to see if the venerable evil dragon would be in danger. Boom! Roughly 3 seconds later, the venerable evil dragon had just charged into the palace when he was blasted out by a powerful force. The venerable evil dragon fell heavily on the ground and spewed a mouthful of blood with his face turning extremely dark. Boom! 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 Before the venerable spirit cauldron and the rest could be shocked, a few heavy footsteps resounded from the palace. Not long after, a colossal figure appeared in everyone's sight. Looking at the colossal figure at the entrance of the palace, the venerable spirit cauldron and the rest sucked in a cold breath. 6-winged sky-soaring python. Amongst the 8th-grade demonic beasts, the 6-winged sky-soaring python had already surpassed the initial 8th grade and reached the middle 8th grade. The ranks of demonic beasts corresponded to the cultivation of humans. Initial 8th grade demonic beasts corresponded to 1st grade to 3rd grade human sovereigns. Middle 8th grade demonic beasts corresponded to 4th grade to 6th grade human sovereigns. Late 8th grade demonic beasts corresponded to 7th grade to 9th grade human sovereigns. A middle 8th grade 6-winged sky-soaring python's strength had reached pinnacle 4th grade human sovereigns. Even its comprehensive battle prowess was comparable to a 5th grade human sovereign. The Beast King Palace is not to be trespassed by unauthorized personnel. A majestic voice came from the mouth of the 6-winged sky-soaring python, filled with killing intent. 6-winged sky-soaring python, since you did not kill all of us immediately, it means that there must be a way to enter the Beast King Palace. Clearly, the venerable spirit cauldron and the rest came prepared. They had already investigated all possibilities before coming. Hearing that, the 6-winged sky-soaring python's gaze shifted and locked onto the venerable spirit cauldron. The venerable spirit cauldron and the 6-winged sky-soaring python looked at each other. After a long while, the 6-winged sky-soaring python said in a deep voice, You're right. There is indeed a way to enter the Beast King Palace. Take a move from me. Initially, the venerable spirit cauldron and the rest felt relieved when they heard the six-winged sky-soaring python's words. But when they heard the six-winged sky-soaring python's words, their faces turned ugly to the extreme. Take a move from you? What a joke! You're a middle 8th grade demonic beast. Who here can take a move from you? There's another way. Perhaps it had guessed what the venerable spirit cauldron and the rest were thinking. The six-winged sky-soaring python waved its hand and a crack appeared on the ground. Crack! Not long after, an ancient battle stage slowly rose from the ground. Rustle! The moment the ancient battle stage appeared, several silhouettes tore through the void and appeared on the stage. If you want to enter the palace, you must go up and defeat these puppets. The six-winged sky-soaring python pointed at the silhouettes on the ancient battle stage and said, "Holy shit!" When the Dark Emperor saw the puppets on the ancient battle stage, he couldn't help cursing. This is called a puppet? Holy shit, isn't this too exaggerated? This is clearly the little six-winged sky-soaring python. The Dark Emperor felt that his brain was a little insufficient. What is the six-winged sky-soaring python trying to do? Ningyu frowned. Honestly speaking, he had no idea what the six-winged sky-soaring python was trying to do. The strength of the little six-winged sky-soaring python on the ancient battle stage was at most equivalent to a half-step honorable. Who could the six-winged sky-soaring python stop? Let alone a powerful martial artist like the venerable spirit cauldron, even Yin Hua and the rest could easily defeat it. The six-winged sky-soaring python was clearly pushing the little sky-soaring pythons into a pit of fire. Look, someone's going up. At this moment, the Dark Emperor pointed at the ancient battle stage and exclaimed. Chapter 926. Chaotic Battle Rustle. Beside Yin Hua, a late-phase manifestation realm cultivator stepped on the ground and instantly flew onto the battle stage. He was ranked in the top 50 of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple's Genius ranking, Jian Chang of the late-phase manifestation realm. Jian Chang wasn't the strongest in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, but he was the most courageous. Humph! You bunch of six-winged flying pythons, how can you? Jian Chang coldly snorted as he flew onto the battle stage. However, before Jian Chang could finish his arrogant words, his expression changed drastically and he immediately retreated backwards. Boom! A crisp sound rang out as Jian Chang crashed into the transparent barrier at the edge of the battle stage. Whoosh! 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 Shortly after, several figures flew out and devoured Jian Chang in the blink of an eye. What? Below the battle stage, Yin Hua and the rest had a drastic change in their faces when they saw Jian Chang's miserable state. Although Jian Chang's cultivation was only in the late-phase manifestation realm, his fighting strength was extremely powerful. How did he turn into nothingness before he could even withstand a single move? Rustle! Jian Chang was so easily killed and devoured, leaving a shadow in the hearts of many cultivators. Devour! Ningyu's face turned ugly when he saw what happened on the battle stage from afar. Ningyu had some understanding of Jian Chang's strength. After all, he had fought with the Dark Emperor before. Even a powerful cultivator like Jian Chang was killed in a single move. Thus, one could tell how many people could pass the test. Furthermore, what shocked Ningyu the most was that only a lesser six-winged flying python made a move. There were a total of 6 lesser flying pythons on the battle stage. If all 6 lesser flying pythons made a move, even a first-grade sovereign would be instantly killed. Gulp! The Dark Emperor swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said, "Ningyu, what should we do? What else can we do? Let's wait and see." After pondering for a brief moment, Ningyu said, "Since the 6-winged sky-soaring pythons have set the rules, that means that there must be a way to break it. Don't forget that the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and the rest are all third-grade sovereigns. If they were to step up, they would probably be able to instantly turn the 6 six-winged sky-soaring pythons into dregs." Nodding his head, the Dark Emperor said, "That's true. The strength of a third-grade sovereign is indeed terrifying. Whoosh! At that moment, the venerable spirit cauldron stepped on the ground and rushed out. Judging from the situation, venerable spirit cauldron was going to take action personally. Humph! You want to get involved in a fight between juniors? Before the venerable spirit cauldron could rush onto the platform, the six-winged sky-soaring python snorted coldly and said in a deep voice, "Your opponent is me. Hua!" The venerable spirit cauldron originally wanted to end the battle quickly, but when he heard that six-winged ascendant sage was busy, he had no choice but to change his strategy and instantly stopped in midair. Six-winged sky-soaring python, you're clearly doing this to prevent us from entering the Beast King's palace. The venerable spirit cauldron's face was unsightly. If they couldn't enter the Beast King's palace, then it would be a great loss for the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. To obtain the treasures in the Beast King's palace, the Supreme Nine Purities Temple had paid a great price. Don't be so stubborn. I've given you guys a chance. Defeat me and enter the Beast King's palace. Otherwise, get lost. The six-winged sky-soaring python sneered. Don't be too pleased. The evil dragon sovereign took a step forth and said, "Six-winged sky-soaring python, we admit that you're powerful, but we're not to be trifled with. That's right. The three of us are third-grade sovereigns. Although we can't kill you, we can still hold you back for a few minutes." Venerable Blood Destruction's face revealed a ferocious expression as he continued, "Once we hold you back, the cultivators that we've brought will be able to annihilate these lesser six-winged sky-soaring pythons." Venerable Blood Destruction pointed at the six lesser sky-soaring pythons on the platform. "Threaten me." The six-winged sky-soaring python emitted its aura and violently pressured towards Venerable Blood Destruction and the rest. Join hands. Although Venerable Blood Destruction and the Spirit Cauldron Venerable were enemies, they had put aside their former enmity and joined hands in the face of life and death. Boom! Venerable Blood Destruction and the rest instantly clashed with the six-winged sky-soaring python. 3 third-grade sovereigns against a mid-phase 8th-grade six-winged sky-soaring python. Initially, there wasn't any suspense in this battle. No one knew what was going on, but the two sides were actually evenly matched, with no one gaining any advantage. Ningyu, this six-winged sky-soaring python seems to be injured. The Dark Emperor had been paying attention to what was happening before the Beast King's palace. Seeing that the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and the rest were actually evenly matched with the six-winged sky-soaring python, the Dark Emperor felt that it was a little unbelievable. He's indeed injured, and it's not a light injury either. At this moment, Ningyu took the opportunity when the six-winged sky-soaring python wasn't paying attention and started to examine it. But when he looked, Ningyu was shocked. In his previous life, Ningyu also had some understanding of demonic beasts. For a mid-phase 8th-grade demonic beast like the six-winged sky-soaring python, unless it was a fatal injury, there wouldn't be such a huge drop in its fighting strength. From the battle, Ningyu could tell that the six-winged sky-soaring python's fighting strength had dropped by at least half, if not more. Look, Yinhua and the rest have also made their move. Suddenly, the Lightning Wolf King pointed at Yinhua and the rest. Rustle! 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 Before the Beast King's palace, a group of people led by Yinhua began to launch powerful attacks against the lesser sky-soaring pythons on the stage. The combat power of the lesser flying pythons was still very terrifying. Some warriors whose cultivation was lower than the later stage of the creation realm were killed the moment they fought with them. Whoosh! Amongst the crowd, there were only 3 cultivators that could confront the six-winged sky-soaring pythons head-on. On the side of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Yinhua's fighting strength was naturally the strongest, and he was on par with a lesser sky-soaring python. On the side of the Blood God Palace, a long-haired young man's fighting strength was especially terrifying. He fought against 2 lesser sky-soaring pythons without being at a disadvantage. On the side of the corpse insect, A short-haired man blocked a lesser sky-soaring python. 3 powerful geniuses fought against 4 lesser sky-soaring pythons. The rest of the cultivators dealt with the remaining 2 lesser sky-soaring pythons. The situation on the 2 battlefields was very similar. The balance of the battle was very even, and there was no sign of tilting towards one side. Obviously, at this time, if a new force joined the battle, this balance could be broken in an instant. Ha ha ha! Speak of the devil, and he will appear. The battle only lasted for 3 minutes before it was interrupted by a burst of wild laughter. Rustle! Immediately, several sounds of wind breaking were heard. Then, the crowd saw several cultivators tearing the void and appearing in front of the Beast King's palace. There were a total of 5 people. 3 men and 2 women. The 2 women's cultivation was not low, and they were both first-grade human supreme. However, one was at the early first-grade human supreme, and the other was at the peak first-grade human supreme. Among the 3 men, 2 were at the peak manifestation realm, and 1 was at the first-grade human supreme. Ningyu knew all of these cultivators. They all came from the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion. Chapter 927. Inexplicable Participation. Friend, hurry up and kill these 6-winged sky-soaring pythons. Seeing Zhu Zhen and the others appear, the evil dragon sovereign was overjoyed. Now that both sides were evenly matched, whichever side had more reinforcements would win. And the strength of Zhu Zhen and the others could undoubtedly change the battle situation. Kill the sky-soaring pythons? Zhu Zhen was not an idiot. No matter what, he was the saint's son of the 9 Furnace Divine Pavilion's first branch. His intelligence was not too low. He did not reply to the evil dragon sovereign's words but carefully observed. Mid-rank 8-winged sky-soaring python. The little sky-soaring python's strength was limited, so Zhu Zhen did not pay attention to it. His gaze fell on the 6-winged sky-soaring python. It seems to be injured. Zhu Zhen's perception was also very strong. He easily determined that the 6-winged sky-soaring python was injured. After all, a mid-rank 8-winged sky-soaring python's strength could not be so weak. What are you waiting for? If you want to enter the Beast King Palace, you must kill all these monsters. Seeing Zhu Zhen hesitate, the evil dragon sovereign angrily said, Otherwise, no one will be able to enter the Beast King Palace. I'm not a fool. Zhu Zhen curled his lips and then said to the 2 peak manifestation realm martial artists beside him, You 2 enter the Beast King Palace first, I'll be right behind you. Hearing Zhu Zhen's words, the 2 peak manifestation realm martial artists' mouths fell open, their bodies wavering. If they wanted to enter the Beast King Palace, they had to pass through the battlefield. With their peak manifestation realm cultivation, passing through such a terrifying battlefield was no different from courting death. Humph! You don't even listen to me. Zhu Zhen's expression instantly turned cold. The 9 Furnace Divine Pavilion's punishment can shwa. When Zhu Zhen said the word punishment, the 2 peak manifestation realm martial artists' mouths twitched. They immediately rose from the ground, bracing themselves as they rushed out. Zhu Zhen, aren't you sending them to their deaths? Beside him, Yun Mu frowned. Although the 9 Furnace Divine Pavilion's first branch is very powerful, they will be finished sooner or later. Finished sooner or later? Are you sure you're not kidding me? Zhu Zhen shrugged his shoulders. He disdainfully said, Let's not talk about whether or not the 2 of them will die. Even if we take 10,000 steps back, even if they die, it won't have any effect on the 9 Furnace Divine Pavilion's first branch. As long as I obtain the Beast King's treasure, I can unify the 9 Furnace Divine Pavilion. At that time, Puchi. Before Zhu Zhen could finish his sentence, 2 clear voices entered his ears. What? Zhu Zhen turned to look. Zhu Zhen's face darkened as he looked at the 2 martial artists at the peak of the manifestation realm who had been killed before they could even reach the Beast King's palace. Your friend was killed by the six-winged sky python. If you want revenge, you should look for it. At this moment, the evil dragon Venerable's voice rang out. Caw caw. Zhu Zhen's fists were clenched so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. The coldness on his face was especially obvious. Six-winged sky soaring python, I didn't provoke you, but you came to provoke me. Zhu Zhen took a deep breath, rose from the ground and charged into the battlefield. F***ck. The evil dragon Venerable and the others could not help but curse when they saw the direction Zhu Zhen was charging in. Zhu Zhen was too smart, wasn't he? The battlefield he joined was not their side, but the lesser flying pythons. With Zhu Zhen's participation, the balance of the lesser flying pythons was broken. Soon, one of the lesser flying pythons was severely injured. Aunt Yun, should we make a move? Yun Mu frowned as he looked at Zhu Zhen galloping in the battlefield. There's no need. Aunt Yun shook her head and said, We'll just watch the tigers fight and preserve our strength for now. Rumble. At this moment, Zhu Zhen seized the opportunity and killed a lesser flying python in one blow. Roar. Although the six-winged sky soaring python was fighting with the evil dragon Venerable and the others, he was furious when a lesser flying python was killed. However, despite being furious, there was nothing the six-winged sky soaring python could do. The evil dragon Venerable, the spirit cauldron Venerable, and the blood slayer Venerable. The pressure from these three powerful martial artists made it hard for him to breathe. It's over, it's over. This time, the six-winged sky soaring python race will be finished. Behind the mountain, the Dark Emperor shook his head in pity. After all, the six-winged sky soaring python was a demonic beast just like him. Now that it was surrounded by the Een Corpse sect, the Blood God Palace, and the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, the Dark Emperor was naturally furious. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If it wasn't for the fear of the Blood God Palace, the Dark Emperor would have already made a move. It's not that simple. Ningyu saw things more clearly than the Dark Emperor. No matter what, the six-winged sky soaring python was a mid-8th rank demonic beast. It wouldn't be killed so easily. Once a demonic beast reached the mid-8th rank, its strength would increase qualitatively. Although the evil dragon Venerable and the others were third-grade sovereign, it was harder than ascending the heavens for them to kill a six-winged sky soaring python. Ningyu, what should we do? Should we continue to wait? The Dark Emperor asked hesitantly. Wait. Don't be anxious. If we go down now, we'll only become live targets. Ningyu shook his head and said. Hearing Ningyu's words, not only was the Dark Emperor a little disappointed, even the Lightning Wolf King and the metal-devouring Demon Lion revealed disappointed expressions. Attack. However, the Dark Emperor and the Lightning Wolf King's disappointment did not last for long. They saw Ningyu stomping on the ground and charging out like a bolt of lightning. What's going on? Seeing Ningyu make a move, the Dark Emperor opened his mouth slightly in disbelief. Did the sun rise from the west? Why did Ningyu make a move without any warning? In the past, it was impossible for Ningyu to get involved in such matters. What should we do? The Dark Emperor and the Lightning Wolf King looked at each other and could see the shock in each other's eyes. What else can we do? Attack with all your might and help the six-winged sky soaring python. Just as the Dark Emperor and the Lightning Wolf King spoke, Ningyu's voice sounded in their ears. Forget it, let's go. The Dark Emperor and the Lightning Wolf King gritted their teeth and rushed out, charging towards the Beast King Palace. The metal-devouring Demon Lion hesitated for a moment, then followed closely behind. As for the Li Fire Divine Eagle and Qin Xiang, they stayed where they were, in charge of protecting Lu Wei. Ha ha, little flying python is just too weak. I haven't even used my strength and I've already killed one. In front of the Beast King Palace, on the battlefield, Zhu Zhen raised his head and laughed maniacally. Zhu Zhen, how have you been? However, just as Zhu Zhen was about to laugh, he suddenly stopped, and his expression changed greatly. Without any time to think, Zhu Zhen immediately retreated, barely dodging a fatal attack. Who is it? Turning around, Zhu Zhen looked at the figures that appeared in front of him, and his expression instantly turned gloomy. Ningyu. Zhu Zhen clenched his fists tightly as the coldness on his face grew more obvious. Metal-devouring demon lion, you're a pinnacle second-grade sovereign. Go over there and help the six-winged sky-soaring python. Leave these small fries to me and the Dark Emperor. Ningyu waved his hand, signaling the metal-devouring demon lion to help the six-winged sky-soaring python. Chapter 928. Double. Ningyu, everyone is working together to deal with the six-winged sky-soaring python, yet you're doing the opposite. What exactly are your intentions? Zhu Zhen didn't care about the fate of the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and the others. At this moment, he stared fixedly at Ningyu and said coldly, "It's not a wise choice to go against everyone at this moment. I advise you to be smarter and deal with the six-winged sky-soaring python with us." Did the sun rise from the west today? Ningyu raised his head to look at the horizon and said in a puzzled tone, "Based on your character, you should take the initiative to attack me and absolutely not reason with me. As the saying goes, there's definitely something wrong when something unusual happens. You're definitely preparing some ultimate move by doing this." Ha ha ha! Zhu Zhen roared with laughter, and then his expression turned cold as he said, "You're smart. I'm indeed preparing a ultimate move that can instantly kill you. Looks like I'll have to experience it today." Ningyu raised his brows as he stomped on the ground and instantly charged out. Hiss! Hiss! The red fiend's sword appeared in his hand, and a violent fluctuation of origin energy appeared on it as it slashed fiercely at Zhu Zhen. "Bring it on!" Zhu Zhen sneered as he gazed at the flying sword that was approaching him, and then he directly withdrew a scroll from his pocket and threw it into the air. "Open!" Along with Zhu Zhen's low shout, the scroll suddenly exploded. After the scroll exploded, a huge golden net descended from midair and directly covered Ningyu. Swoosh! The red fiend's sword in Ningyu's hand slashed repeatedly with the intention of slashing open the golden net. However, the defense of the golden net was extremely strong. Even though the red fiend's sword had reached the monarch rank, it was unable to slash open it in a short period of time. "Ningyu, this net of mine is called the Skyblotting Net, and it's a top-grade king-rank magic treasure. Although your flying sword is a monarch-rank flying sword, it's even more difficult than ascending the heavens to break it open." Zhu Zhen sneered. "I'll have to trouble you for a while. I'll play with you after I kill those two demonic beasts." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhu Zhen's figure shot out explosively. His target was the Dark Emperor and the Lightning Wolf King. "Aunt Yun, who should we help?" Yunmu furrowed his brows and asked. Although Yunmu was the Nine Furnace Divine Pavilion's first branch saintess, and was on the same side as Zhu Zhen on the surface, Yunmu didn't want to step forward to help Zhu Zhen. On the contrary, Yunmu wanted Zhu Zhen to be killed. Only when Zhu Zhen was killed would she be able to completely shake off this huge trouble. However, Yunmu was very clear that with Zhu Zhen's strength, it would be extremely difficult for Ningyu to kill him. "No one has shown signs of weakness, so we won't help anyone." The talisman Martial Supremacy saw through it. Unlike Yunmu, Supremacy Talisman Martial had always believed that Ningyu was very powerful. Ningyu was able to break his embryonic domain when he was in the middle stage of the creation realm. Now that he had advanced to the late stage of the creation realm, his strength must have improved. Under this premise, Zhu Zhen wouldn't necessarily be able to kill him. "Aunt Yun, the heaven-shrouding net is a top-grade king-step magic treasure. Ningyu shouldn't be able to break it, right?" Yunmu frowned. "A top-grade king-step magic treasure. Even she wouldn't be able to break it in a short period of time, much less Ningyu, who was only at the late stage of the creation realm." Crack! At this time, an ear-piercing sound rang out. Yunmu's mouth was slightly agape. She looked at the thin figure in the middle of the heaven-shrouding net, her face filled with shock. Gulp! Yunmu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. She didn't dare to believe that Ning Yu could actually break the heaven-shrouding net in such a short period of time. It had to be known that this was the heaven-shrouding net, a top-grade king-step magic treasure. Impossible! Besides Yunmu's shock, the talisman martial supremacy also revealed a look of disbelief. In truth, it was no wonder that the talisman martial supremacy was shocked. A long time ago, Zhu Zhen had used the heaven-shrouding net to trap 2 first-grade human supremacies. How long had it been? Ningyu actually broke the heaven-shrouding net? Just as Ningyu broke the heaven-shrouding net, 2 sounds of blood spurting came from the other side. Bang! Bang! What followed was the sound of 2 bodies crashing into the wall. Ha ha ha! 2 useless demonic beasts dare to fight with me? Simply seeking death. After casually defeating the Dark Emperor and the Lightning Wolf King, Zhu Zhen raised his head and laughed maniacally. But Zhu Zhen's maniacal laughter stopped abruptly in the middle of his sentence. His face was filled with a dumbfounded expression. Why will you broke my heaven-shrouding net? Zhu Zhen pointed at Ning Yu in front of him. He even stuttered a little when he spoke. The heaven-shrouding net was a top-grade king-step magic treasure. How could Ning Yu be so powerful? Zhu Zhen was very shocked, and this shock was also shown on his face. Humph! Ning Yu did not answer Zhu Zhen. He snorted coldly and immediately rushed out with the red fiend's sword in his hand. On the other side of the battlefield, with the addition of the metal-devouring demon lion, the pressure on the 6-winged flying python was getting lighter. Originally, the 6-winged flying python and the spirit cauldron venerable were evenly matched. Now that the 6-winged flying python had a new force, it was obvious that the pressure on the spirit cauldron venerable was getting greater. The scales of victory were already tilting towards the 6-winged flying python. Ningyu, don't be too proud. The heaven-shrouding net is just one of my many magic treasures. I have many of them. Seeing that Ningyu was rushing towards him, Zhu Zhen was not afraid. Instead, he sneered and took out a green flying sword. Green steel sword. A top-grade king-step flying sword was extremely powerful. Strictly speaking, if the cultivation of the martial artist who refined the flying sword was not too low, the green steel sword would not be just a top-grade king-step flying sword. Ding! The red fiend sword and the green steel sword separated. The pain from the webbing between the thumb and the index finger caused Ning Yu and Zhu Zhen to retreat several tens of meters away. Poof! Just when Ning Yu and Zhu Zhen were about to fight again, a sudden change occurred. On the other side of the battlefield, Yin Hua seized the opportunity to stab his sword into the neck of a lesser flying python and killed it on the spot. Roar! The death of this lesser flying python caused the 6-winged flying python to be completely enraged. After roaring towards the sky, the 6-winged flying python's attacks became sharper and sharper. The 6-winged flying python's battle intent was overflowing, but it made the spirit cauldron venerable and the others suffer. They were already at a disadvantage, and now that the 6-winged flying python went berserk, they naturally felt very uncomfortable. Human, I swear in the name of the flying python's ancestor that as long as you can save 4 lesser flying pythons, I'll double the benefits I promised you. Ningyu held the red fiend sword in his hand and stared straight at Zhu Zhen. Right at this moment, the voice of the 6-winged flying python entered Ningyu's ears. Double the benefits? When he heard this, Ningyu was first stunned before he nodded lightly at the 6-winged flying python. The reason Ningyu came out to help the 6-winged flying python was because the benefits it promised him were too great, and it was so great that he could not refuse it. Chapter 929. Clues. Haha, it's not good to be distracted now. The corners of Zhu Zhen's mouth curled up when he saw Ningyu was stunned, and then he soared into the sky and charged towards Ningyu at an extremely shocking speed. Hiss! Hiss! Zhu Zhen's speed was extremely swift, and it was swift to the point he emitted hissing sounds from the friction with the air. Solitaire! Even though Ning Yu's attention was on the six-winged sky-soaring python, he was prepared for Zhu Zhen's surprise attack. With a flick of his wrist, Ning Yu slashed out numerous sword waves in succession. Swish! The sword waves covered the heavens and the earth as they blasted towards Zhu Zhen. Child's play. Zhu Zhen didn't take Ning Yu's solitaire seriously at all. He swung the azure steel sword in his hand, and numerous sword lights that weren't inferior to solitaire flew out and collided with solitaire. Bang! The two collided. A shocking rumble resounded, and then the sword waves and sword lights dispersed. After the sword waves and sword lights dispersed, Zhu Zhen had already arrived before Ning Yu, and he slashed fiercely towards Ning Yu's neck. The might of Zhu Zhen's attack was enormous, and if Ning Yu was unfortunate enough to be struck by it, then he would definitely die on the spot. The might of the top-grade king-rank azure steel sword wasn't for show. Kid, keep your eyes open in your next life. There are some people you can offend and some you can't. Zhu Zhen couldn't help but laugh when he saw the flying sword was about to strike Ning Yu's neck. Crack! In the next moment, a clear and melodious sound resounded. Ha ha ha! Zhu Zhen roared with laughter when he saw Ning Yu's head being separated from his body. What? The Dark Emperor and Lightning Wolf King's expressions changed drastically when they saw Ning Yu's miserable state, and their eyes revealed terror. Others might not know how strong Ning Yu was, but the Dark Emperor and Lightning Wolf King knew it very well. So long as Ning Yu wasn't willing, then even two Zhu Zhens wouldn't be able to kill him. Could it be that he was too careless? Or could it be that someone was playing tricks in the dark? Aunt Yun, this, on the other side, Yun Mu's mouth was slightly agape. His eyes were also filled with disbelief. Like the Dark Emperor and the others, Yun Mu didn't believe that Ning Yu was killed. However, the truth was right in front of him. Yun Mu had to believe it. It's not that simple. After all, Talisman Supremacy was a martial artist who had cultivated an embryonic domain, so she could see further. When Zhu Zhen drew his sword just now, her eyes were fixed on Ning Yu, and she noticed a small movement from Ning Yu. At the critical moment of life and death, the corners of Ning Yu's mouth raised unnaturally. It was this arc that allowed the Talisman Supremacy to conclude that Ning Yu was definitely not killed. Zhu Zhen was so complacent and careless that he would definitely suffer. I know there are some people I can provoke, and some people I can't. Zhu Zhen's maniacal laughter had just ended when an indifferent voice rang out from the void. Then, a figure slowly appeared in Zhu Zhen's vision. This is impossible. Looking at the familiar figure in front of him, Zhu Zhen's eyes widened in shock. Ning Yu was already killed, and his corpse was laid out over there. Now that he had come back to life, how could Zhu Zhen not be shocked? Zhu Zhen pointed at the Ning Yu on the ground and said, "Didn't you already die?" F***CK. Before Zhu Zhen could finish his sentence, he was stunned on the spot and cursed. This was because Zhu Zhen discovered that the corpse on the ground was not Ning Yu, but the 9-cauldron divine pavilion genius that came with him. Sorry, I killed your friend when you weren't paying attention. Ning Yu shrugged and his voice rang out at the right time. The worst thing you did in this life was to go against me. As he spoke, Ning Yu rose from the ground and rushed out. However, this time, the direction that Ning Yu rushed out was not towards Zhu Zhen, but towards the little flying python. Since he had promised the 6-winged flying python, Ning Yu would not go back on his word. Helping the 6-winged flying python and saving the 4 little 6-winged flying pythons was the most important thing. It was even more important than killing Zhu Zhen. After all, whether or not he could obtain any benefits from the Beast King's palace depended on this. Damn it! Zhu Zhen clenched his fists and his expression became increasingly ruthless. He had suffered a double loss, trying to steal a chicken but losing the rice used to lure it. Not only did he not kill Ning Yu, but he had also stirred up trouble and killed his friend. Bang! While Zhu Zhen was still upset, Ning Yu had already joined the battlefield. With Ning Yu joining the fray, the little flying python was immediately energized. Even its combat strength seemed to increase. After blasting out dozens of sword waves, Ningyu forced Yin Hua and the others away and protected the 4 little flying pythons behind him. Shua Shua. The Lightning Wolf King and Dark Emperor also stood on either side of Ningyu. Ningyu. Yin Hua's eyes were extremely cold as he scolded. Aren't you afraid of being bitten by teaming up with the flying pythons? Yes, I'm very afraid. Ningyu pretended to be very afraid. But soon, Ningyu returned to normal and said, however, teaming up with the flying pythons is better than teaming up with you guys. Supreme 9 Purities Temple, Blood God Palace, Corpse Sect, and 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion. No matter which of these 4 forces, they all had enmity with Ningyu. Under this premise, teaming up with the flying pythons that had sworn an oath was a wise choice. Don't be too proud. With your strength, how can you fight against so many of us? Yin Hua snorted. Why are you talking nonsense with him? Let's attack together. I don't believe that we can't kill him. Beside Yin Hua, the short-haired youth from Corpse Sect took a step forward and released his aura. The short-haired youth was called Shuremo, and his cultivation was at grade 1 Human Supreme. I'm more than enough to deal with a clown like him. The long-haired man from Blood God Palace shrugged and looked indifferent. The long-haired man was called Shwewuming, and he was also a grade 1 Human Supreme. Yin Hua, Shuremo, and Shwewuming. If Zhu Zhen was added to the mix, it would be 4 peerless geniuses at grade 1 Human Supreme. Even in the entire Sky Demon region, these 4 people could be considered top geniuses. However, the thing that Ningyu was least afraid of was geniuses. In his previous life, Ningyu was a peerless genius in the Sky Demon region. Even the older generation of martial artists were not as powerful as him. Strictly speaking, Yin Hua and the other 3 were considered juniors to Ningyu. Shwewuming, since you have a request, we naturally won't fight with you. Zhu Zhen was very smart. He had just fought with Ningyu, so it was not a good time for him to make a move. After all, the main battlefield was not here, but the Beast King Palace. Shwewuming was very confident in his strength. He snorted coldly, stomped his feet on the ground, and immediately charged out. Haha, what a fool! Seeing Shwewuming charge out, Zhu Zhen smiled in his heart and said sinisterly. Indeed, he's stupid. Not only Zhu Zhen, but even Yin Hua and Shuremo thought the same. It's not that simple. Talisman Supremacy shook his head and said to Yunmu. Shwewuming should have noticed something. What is it? Yunmu asked doubtfully. The reason why Ningyu protected the little flying python must be because he made some sort of agreement with the 6-winged flying python. Chapter 930. Battle, all of you, get out of the way. Ningyu spoke in a deep voice with a grave expression as he watched Shwewuming approach him. Although Shwewuming's cultivation was only at grade 1 Mortal Sovereign, his strength was the strongest amongst the 4 of them. Although Ningyu was not afraid of him, the Dark Emperor and the others were not too strong. If their fight affected the Dark Emperor and the Little Flying Mang, the gains would not make up for the losses. Therefore, Ningyu turned around and instructed as he charged forward with the Red Demon sword in hand. Don't worry. The Dark Emperor knew that the enemy Ningyu was facing was very strong. At this time, he definitely could not cause trouble for Ningyu. I want to see just what capabilities you have. Shwewuming snorted coldly. He took out a silver-white flying sword and slashed at Ningyu's neck. A Supreme Grade King Grade flying sword. White Blood Sword. As a top genius of the Blood God Palace, Shwewuming's status in the Blood God Palace was many times higher than Qin Xiang's. Moreover, Shwewuming's father was the Deputy Palace Master of Blood God Palace. If it wasn't for the fact that Shwewuming was unable to control a royal rank flying sword, Shwewuming's father would have even gotten a royal rank flying sword for him. The difference in status made Shwewuming the strongest among the 4 peerless geniuses. After all, whether it was Yin Hua, Shuremo, or Zhu Zhen, None of them had a stronger background than Xue Wuming. It's actually nameless blood. On a distant mountain peak, Qin Xiang stared at Xue Wuming. A shocked expression appeared on her face. Is nameless blood very powerful? Qin Xiang knew Xue Wuming, but Lu Wei did not. At this time, Lu Wei was concerned about Ning Yu's safety, and whether Ning Yu could defeat this genius called nameless blood. Amazing, of course it's amazing. After taking a deep breath, Qin Xiang said, in the area where the Blood God Palace is located, everyone knows about Wuming Xue's name. It is said that Wuming Xue's combat power has reached the peak. From what I can see, Xue Wuming is only a grade 1 mortal sovereign. How strong could he be? The Li Fire Divine Condor curled his lips. He did not believe Qin Xiang's words. Reach the peak? What kind of joke was this? How could a first-grade human sovereign be worthy of the words reaching the pinnacle? Qin Xiang glanced disdainfully at the Li Fire Divine Condor and continued, if Xue Wuming wanted to kill you, he would not even need to use 10% of his strength. Impossible! The Li Fire Divine Condor exclaimed. The Li Fire Divine Condor was very confident in its own strength. Even a peerless genius like Ning Yu would not be able to defeat him with just 10% of his strength, let alone nameless blood. If nameless blood could defeat Ning Yu with just 10% of his strength, he would definitely be able to kill Ning Yu instantly. He would not be fighting Ning Yu like this. Boom! In front of the Beast King's palace, Ning Yu and Nameless Blood were engaged in an intense battle. Ning Yu wielded the red demon sword and slashed out several sword ripples. Every single one of them was extremely powerful. As for Xue Wuming, he brandished the white blood sword. Every single one of the sword ripples was extremely powerful, breaking through Ning Yu's sword ripples. Damn it! The two of them are actually so powerful. At this moment, Zhu Zhen's expression was extremely ugly. Originally, Zhu Zhen thought that Ning Yu's strength was only SOSO. At most, Ning Yu would only be able to contend against him. Zhu Zhen thought that as long as he used his trump card, he would be able to kill Ning Yu in an instant. From the looks of it, he was wrong. Extremely wrong. Ning Yu's strength was extremely powerful. Even if he used all his trump cards, he might not be able to kill Ning Yu. Fight. Fight with all your might. It would be best if both sides suffer. Zhu Zhen's eyes shone with a frightening light as he said viciously. Only when both Ning Yu and Nameless Blood suffered heavy losses could he completely dominate the Beast King's palace. Zhu Zhen did not think that Yin Hua and Shurimo could contend against him. On the contrary, Yin Hua and Shurimo did not think so. They did not think much of Zhu Zhen. Their thinking was very simple. They would wait for the battle between Nameless Blood and Ning Yu to reach a critical moment before launching a sneak attack. As long as the sneak attack succeeded, they could instantly get rid of the two big problems. Kid, if we continue to fight, both of us will definitely suffer heavy losses. Why don't we join forces? Although Nameless Blood was young, he was also an old fox. He had more or less guessed the thoughts of Zhu Zhen, Yin Hua, and the others. In addition, his original intention of fighting with Ning Yu was to control the little flying python so that the six-winged flying python would refrain from taking action. In the beginning, Nameless Blood might have wanted to kill Ning Yu. However, as the battle progressed, he gradually changed his mind. At this moment, even joining forces with Ning Yu might not be a bad idea. You want to join forces with me? Ning Yu raised his eyebrows when he heard Nameless Blood's spiritual voice transmission. How do we join forces? It's very simple. Give me the two little flying pythons, and I can join forces with you to fight against Zhu Zhen and the others. Nameless Blood said proudly, although you are very strong, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens if you want to deal with the three of them alone. What you said is actually very correct. Ning Yu nodded slightly and said, it's more than right. It's practically perfect. Nameless Blood continued, if the two of us join forces, even in the Beast King's palace, we will be able to sweep through everything. Hurry up and hand over the 2 flying pythons. You might have misunderstood me. Ningyu shrugged and said, although you are right, I don't agree. Brat, you are playing with me. Nameless Blood's eyes turned cold as he berated. Playing with you? The corners of Ningyu's lips curled up as he shook his head. You are wrong again. I am not playing with you. I am playing with a monkey. Ah! I will tear you apart. Nameless Blood naturally could not tolerate being treated like a monkey by Ningyu. He shouted and immediately poured the yuan in his sea of consciousness into the white blood sword. Then, he charged forward. Seeing that Nameless Blood was getting closer and closer, Ningyu did not retreat. Instead, he took a step forward and slowly closed his eyes. What is Ningyu doing? Why is he giving up? Yunmu frowned and asked doubtfully when he saw Ningyu's actions. It's not that simple. Since Ningyu is doing this, he must have his reasons. The Talisman Supremacy said in a low voice. Aunt Yun, Ningyu is the main person to deal with Zhuzhen. If anything happens to him, the burden on our shoulders will increase. Yunmu said hesitantly. I know what you mean, but you can rest assured. Ningyu will not be killed so easily. The Talisman Supremacy trusted Ningyu very much. Hearing this, Yunmu didn't continue asking. Instead, he stared at Ningyu. Ding! In the blink of an eye, a crisp sound rang out. It was obvious that Nameless Blood's white blood sword had slashed at Ningyu's chest. Ha ha ha, brat, you still don't. What? The moment the flying sword touched Ningyu's body, Nameless Blood laughed maniacally. However, something unexpected happened. To Nameless Blood's surprise, his white blood sword stopped in front of Ningyu and did not advance at all. Chapter 931. Follow. I'm sorry, I might have disappointed you. Ningyu raised his head and smiled at Nameless Blood. Then, Ningyu suddenly stabbed with the red fiend's sword in his hand. Pooh! As Nameless Blood was still shocked by Ningyu's extraordinary combat strength, he was stabbed by Ningyu's sword. The sound of a flying sword stabbing into flesh resounded in the area. Swoosh! At this moment, everyone in the surroundings was stunned on the spot. Their mouths were slightly agape, and their faces were filled with disbelief. How is this possible? Especially Zhuzhen, he was slightly stunned. In his opinion, both Ningyu and Nameless Blood were top geniuses, and their strengths were on par with his. Logically speaking, Nameless Blood couldn't have been defeated so quickly. What was going on? What went wrong? Zhuzhen didn't know, and neither did the others. Of course, as one of the parties involved, Nameless Blood knew very well. What kind of defensive armor are you wearing? Nameless Blood took a few steps back and endured the intense pain coming from his chest. He said in a deep voice, It can actually block my top-grade king-grade flying sword. Buzz. As Wuming Shue's voice faded, a set of dark gold battle armor appeared on Ningyu's body. Middle-grade king-grade armor. Nameless Blood knew his stuff, and he could tell the grade of the armor with a single glance. However, there was one thing that Nameless Blood didn't know. He didn't know that the armor was called Phantom Armor. Otherwise, he would definitely be shocked. Middle-grade king-grade armor? How can it block my top-grade king-grade flying sword? Nameless Blood couldn't believe that a middle-grade king-grade armor could actually block his fatal attack. Most importantly, he used a top-grade king-grade flying sword. Rumble. At this moment, the situation on the other side changed dramatically. With the addition of the metal-devouring demon lion, the six-winged sky-soaring python gradually gained the upper hand. With the ability of the six-winged sky-soaring python, it quickly turned the upper hand into victory. Bang! 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 The six-winged sky-soaring python took advantage of the moment when the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the others were careless to launch 3 powerful attacks in succession. Without a doubt, every attack landed on the Spirit Cauldron Venerable One and the others. Pu. After spurting out a mouthful of blood, Venerable Spirit Cauldron and Venerable Dragon Slayer retreated to their respective camp. As for the six-winged sky-soaring python, it came to Ning Yu's side with the metal-devouring demon lion. Thank you. The six-winged sky-soaring python was not an ungrateful person. He took out a storage bag and threw it to Ningyu. After receiving the storage bag, Ningyu split out a bit of his soul perception to check it, then nodded in satisfaction. It's a pleasure working with you. Ningyu smiled at the six-winged sky-soaring python and immediately looked at the leaf-flaming condor. Screech! The leaf-fire divine condor understood. It immediately let out a cry and flew out with Qin Xiang and Lu Wei. After a while, they landed in front of the Beast King Palace. Qin Xiang! Wuming Shui exclaimed when he saw the familiar figure suddenly appear. Why are you with Ningyu? Qin Xiang glanced at Wuming Shui, then stopped talking and retreated behind Ningyu. Ningyu, let go of Qin Xiang and I can spare your life, Wuming Shui said coldly. Back in the Blood God Palace, although Wuming Shui and Qin Xiang's status were worlds apart, it did not stop Wuming Shui from liking Qin Xiang. Wuming Shui's liking could even be described as stubborn. If I can't get it, no one else can. Qin Xiang went to the Beast King Palace this time partly to avoid Wuming Shui. Six-winged sky-soaring python, our agreement ends here. I'll take my leave first. Ningyu could not be bothered with Wuming Shui. What does the grudge between you and Qin Xiang have to do with me? Now that the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and the others were seriously injured, it was a great opportunity to enter the Beast King Palace. If he missed this opportunity, there would be no more. Ningyu would definitely not waste it. Hold it. Seeing that Ningyu was about to leave, the six-winged sky-soaring python took out another storage bag and threw it to Ningyu. The things inside are very important. You can only open it when you reach the deepest part of the Beast King Palace. In addition, you can bring along the 4 little sky-soaring pythons. If you encounter any danger in the Beast King Palace, they can help you deal with it. Ningyu took a deep look at the six-winged sky-soaring python and nodded slightly. At this time, the six-winged sky-soaring python chose to give him a storage bag and let him bring along 4 little sky-soaring pythons. One had to admit that it was definitely not a good thing. However, Ningyu knew very well that a skinny camel was still bigger than a horse. If he did not agree to the six-winged sky-soaring python, he would definitely not be able to enter the Beast King Palace. If he entered the Beast King Palace first, he would have a high chance of obtaining the treasures inside. Ningyu knew this. Therefore, he stomped on the ground and his body shot out. Swish, 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 swish. Behind Ningyu, the Dark Emperor, Lu Wei, Metal-Devouring Demon Lion, Fire God Condor, Lightning Wolf King, and even Qin Xiang rose from the ground and entered the Beast King Palace in an instant. Let's go too. Seeing that Ningyu and the others had left, the Talisman Supremacy raised his brows and shot out in a flash. Let's see who dares to step into the Beast King Palace without my permission. The six-winged sky-soaring python took a step out and stood firmly in front of the Beast King Palace. Six-winged sky-soaring python, you're severely injured now. If all of us join forces, you won't have a good time either. The Talisman Supremacy said coldly. I won't have a good time, but if you want to enter the Beast King Palace, you'll have to step over my dead body. The six-winged sky-soaring python said in a deep voice. You. The Talisman Supremacy's expression was very ugly. Although the six-winged sky-soaring python and the Spirit Cauldron Venerable were also severely injured, as Ningyu had said, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. At this time, whoever stood out first would definitely be at a disadvantage. Hence, the Talisman Supremacy also found a place to sit down and chose to close his eyes to rest. In the Beast King Palace, the two forces were in a stalemate. Others might not know, but the six-winged sky-soaring python was very clear that this stalemate could not last for long. Half an hour. He could only last for half an hour at most. Half an hour later, he had to return to the Beast King Palace to replenish his energy. Otherwise, he would die a terrible death. Right now, His only hope was that Ningyu could find the core area of the palace under the guidance of the little sky-soaring python and completely destroy the array formation that trapped him. That was the only way he could regain his freedom. Otherwise, everything would be futile. Sha sha sha. In the bright and spacious Beast King Palace, several figures were advancing rapidly. That's right, these figures were Ningyu and the rest. After entering the Beast King Palace, Ningyu and the rest encountered two forks. Initially, Ningyu wanted to make a choice, but the little sky-soaring python directly flew into the forks on the left. Helplessly, Ningyu and the rest could only follow. Following behind the little flying python, Ningyu and the others finally stopped after about 10 minutes. What the F***ck? Are you sure you're not kidding me? Chapter 932. Hunting 10 puppets lined up in a row. Each of the puppets' cultivation was around the first-grade human supremacy stage. 10 first-grade human supremacy stage puppet. Even with Ningyu's powerful battle prowess, he still found it a little troublesome. Ningyu, should we? The Dark Emperor looked at the 10 puppets, then looked at Ningyu and said, "Why should we? 10 first-grade human supremacy stage puppet. Even if we win, we won't be able to face the upcoming danger." Ningyu kicked the Dark Emperor's butt and said unhappily, "Swoosh." At this moment, one of the flying pythons suddenly dashed out. The little flying python seemed to know how to control the puppet. After it busied itself for a few minutes, the 10 puppets actually turned around and walked toward the bronze door step by step. Dong dong. The 10 puppets moved in unison and stopped in front of the bronze door. Bang, bang, bang. What the puppets did next made Ningyu a little dumbfounded. Each of the 10 puppets punched out with their right fists, hitting the bronze door. A series of crisp sounds rang out. Instantly, the bronze door began to shake. Apart from the bronze door, Ningyu could even feel the ground trembling. The trembling lasted for 3 minutes before it completely returned to normal. Boom! What followed was an earth-shattering sound. F***ck. Looking at the bronze door that had a few large cracks on it, Ningyu's mouth could not help but twitch a few times. Fortunately, he did not fight with these puppets. It turned out that their battle prowess was so strong. Hiss hiss. Seeing that the bronze door was broken, the 4 flying pythons let out a few cheerful cries and flew straight into the hall. As if they were influenced by the little flying goslings, the 10 puppets followed behind them and entered the hall. "Let's go too." After pondering for a moment, Ningyu also entered the hall. Behind Ningyu, the Dark Emperor and the others all followed. Gulp. As soon as he entered the hall, Ningyu was shocked by the scene before him. The hall wasn't too big. It could only be described as small. However, although the sparrow was small, it had all the vital organs. Furthermore, there were illusory walls on each of the 4 walls of the hall. The so-called Phantom Wall was a projection of what was happening in other places on the Phantom Wall. The Beast King Palace is divided into 3 areas. At that moment Qin Xiang said, "Outer region, inner region, core region." The outer region is made up of the north, south, east, and west regions. The inner region is made up of the heaven, earth, black, and yellow regions. As for the core region, there is only one place called the Core Hall. "You mean, we haven't stepped into the inner area yet?" Ningyu frowned. "That's right. This place we are in is called the Outer Area's Hub Hall." Qin Xiang pointed at the row of messy rocks in front of the 4 mini-flying pythons and continued, "Those rocks are used to control the arrays and mechanisms in the outer area. As long as they are arranged according to a certain pattern, they can activate the mechanisms in the outer area." "Oh right." Hearing that, Ningyu took out the first storage bag that the 6-winged flying python gave him. Ningyu clearly remembered that there was a sheepskin scroll in the storage bag that was used to record the combination method. "What? You actually have this thing?" Seeing the sheepskin scroll in Ningyu's hand, Qin Xiang's expression changed drastically and she said, As long as you master the operation method of these mechanisms, you will be the absolute ruler in the outer area. Rumble. Just as Qin Xiang was feeling shocked, a rumbling sound rang out. Hearing this sound, Ning Yu and the others all turned their heads to look. This look directly caused Ning Yu and the others to be stunned on the spot. They saw 4 mini flying pythons trapped in a transparent array. And right above the array, 4 large words reflected in everyone's eyes. Python Trapping Array. This array is specially used to deal with the 6-winged flying python. Almost instantly, Ning Yu reacted. The Python Trapping Array, as the name suggested, was specially used to trap the 6-winged flying python. Combined with the 6-winged flying python's inexplicable actions before entering the Beast King Palace, Ning Yu vaguely guessed something, but he was not very sure about this matter. What should we do? Should we break this array and save the 4 mini flying pythons? The Dark Emperor stared at the mini flying python in the array and asked. Let's save them first, the rest can be discussed later. Ning Yu gritted his teeth and decided to save the mini flying python. As for what the 6-winged flying python was up to, he temporarily did not care. Anyway, the mini flying python was in his hands. He did not believe that the 6-winged flying python would do anything too outrageous. Attack with all your strength. With a low roar, Ning Yu was the first to wave the red demon sword and attack the array. The Dark Emperor and the others looked at each other, and also joined the army to break the array. Even the 10 puppets attacked at the same time. Crack, crack, crack. Everyone added firewood to the fire. Moreover, with the help of the 10 puppets, it did not take long before the Python Trapping Array was broken. The breaking of the Python Trapping Array meant that the 4 mini flying pythons were saved. Buzz. However, things were developing in a bad direction. As soon as the Python Trapping Array was broken, the space in the area shook and an illusory figure appeared in front of everyone. The 6-winged flying python is not stupid. He actually found you guys to help him break the array. The illusory figure's gaze swept across the crowd before landing on Ning Yu. Since you've broken through the first layer of the Python Trapping Formation, you'll have to break through the remaining 2 layers of the Python Trapping Formation. What the hell? Ning Yu frowned and asked in confusion. I'm not a ghost. To be precise, I'm the same as the 6-winged flying python. I'm serving the master of the Beast King Palace. The illusory figure said, however, the 6-winged flying python found you as a helper. As long as you can break the 3 python trapping arrays, the 6-winged flying python will regain its freedom. F***ck, I've been tricked. Ning Yu's face was filled with black lines. At the end of the day, he was still tricked by the 6-winged flying python. The 6-winged flying python is not completely heartless. You have a treasure with you. With that treasure, you have a certain chance of getting the treasures in the Beast King Palace. Perhaps the illusory figure saw through Ning Yu's thoughts. He smiled faintly and said, "The hunt has begun. This time, I'll spare your lives for the sake of the 6-winged flying python. However, if I meet you again, you won't be so lucky." As he spoke, the illusory figure's body became more and more illusory and finally dissipated between heaven and earth. Crack, 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 crack. As soon as the illusory figure disappeared, the 10 puppets exploded instantly. Hiss! Ning Yu and the others sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw the 10 puppets turn into nothingness. Chapter 933. Bloodbat King, Ning Yu, look! However, Ning Yu's shock didn't last long before he was attracted by a voice. The Dark Emperor pointed at the illusory wall and exclaimed, "It's Yin Hua and the others." Ning Yu said in a deep voice when he saw several figures appearing on the illusory wall. "There's more here." At this moment, the Lightning Wolf King pointed at the illusory wall on the other side. Ning Yu looked in the direction of the Lightning Wolf King's palm and saw Zhu Zhen and Yun Mu appearing on the wall. Next, several figures also appeared on the other 2 walls. The Blood God Palace, the Corpse Sect, the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, and the Nine Cauldrons Divine Pavilion. The 4 forces and the 4 outer regions. Just right. Ningyu, didn't you grasp the method to activate the array formation in each region? Why don't you take advantage of this and capture them all in one fell swoop? The Dark Emperor said fiercely. Such a rare opportunity, actually, there was no need for the Dark Emperor to say it, Ningyu had thought of it long ago. Swish. His figure flashed and arrived before the stones in the blink of an eye. He began to arrange them according to the arrangement method on the sheepskin scroll. Swish, swish, swish. In the area where Yin Hua and the others were, a huge crack suddenly appeared in the space and several arrows flew out, shooting toward Yin Hua and the others. Yin Hua and the Spirit Cauldron Venerable were very strong, so they easily blocked the arrows. However, the remaining people weren't so lucky. After a round of arrows, there were only 5 people left in their group. In other words, apart from the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and Yin Hua, there were 3 people from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Damn it! Everyone, be careful! The Spirit Cauldron Venerable cursed. The Beast King Palace is filled with trap. The slightest carelessness will lead to death. Everyone must be careful. Understood. Yin Hua and the others answered. Although Yin Hua and the others answered very casually, it was clear from their expressions and their trembling bodies that they were very nervous at the moment. Spirit Cauldron Venerable, how long until we reach the core hall? Yin Hua asked. Before going to the core hall, we should first go to the hub hall in the outer area. The Venerable Spirit Cauldron said solemnly, I've already investigated before coming here. So long as we take control of the hub hall, then we'll be able to toy with the other 3 forces. Tut tut tut. In the area where Shui Wuming and the others were located, several icicles emerged from the ground, directly piercing through the soles of the martial artists who were unable to react in time. Not good. Blood Slayer shouted in a low voice. He waved his hands again and again. Then, several cold lights swept out and bombarded the ice pillars. Ka ka ka. Venerable Blood Slayer was a veteran 3rd-grade human sovereign. He was extremely powerful. A mere icicle was naturally not a problem for him. Someone must be causing trouble in the hub hall in the outer region. Let's head over there as well. Venerable Blood Slayer's expression was very ugly. He immediately thought of the hub hall. Since Qin Xiang knew about the hub hall, he definitely knew about it. The same thing happened to Zhu Zhen and the evil dragon Venerable. Without a doubt, both of them had chosen to head to the hub hall. At this time, in the hub hall of the outer region, Ningyu had already stopped and fell into deep thoughts. Although the hub hall in the outer region could control the mechanisms and array formations in the outer region, the mechanisms and array formations in the outer region were all low-grade array formations. These arrays and mechanisms could only kill some martial artists with low cultivation at most. As for powerful martial artists like Yin Hua, Zhu Zhen, and Shui Wuming, they were completely useless. Furthermore, they were already on their guard. If they continued to waste time here, it wouldn't be worth it. Therefore, Ningyu had decided to head to the inner region. Without hesitation, Ningyu charged out of the hall. Swish, swish. However, the moment Ningyu left the hall, his face drastically changed. Without any time to think, Ningyu immediately took out the red demon sword and slashed in the air. Whoosh! In the next moment, 2 bloody heads fell to the ground. The corpses were still trembling. Blood bats! Looking at the corpses on the ground, Ningyu's face instantly turned gloomy. Blood bats were 7th-grade demonic beasts. Their strength was equivalent to a manifestation realm martial artist. Some of the more powerful blood bats could even fight against a half-step supremacy. The 2 blood-colored bats that Ningyu had killed were not very powerful, but they were equivalent to human martial artists at the later stage of the creation realm. Ningyu, that illusory figure, just said something about the hunt starting. Are we going to be hunted by these blood bats? The Dark Emperor seemed to have thought of something and opened his mouth. I can't rule out that possibility. Ning Yu's face was solemn. He was not afraid of one or two bloodbat. The only thing he was afraid of was a large number of bloodbats swarming over. If a group of bloodbats came over, how could he defend himself? Whoosh! Speak of the devil. As soon as this thought appeared in Ning Yu's mind, it came true. The void in the distance suddenly split open, and a swarm of blood-colored bats covered the sky and covered the earth. Dark Emperor, Lightning Wolf King, you two are in charge of protecting Lu Wei. The rest of you, follow me to kill the enemies. Ning Yu hurriedly instructed before pulling out the Red Fiend's sword and charging out. Other than Ning Yu, the gold-devouring demon lion and the rest did not dare to delay and charged out hurriedly. Rumble! Ning Yu slashed out with his sword and more than 10 bloodbats were split in half. This caused the swarm of bloodbats behind him to be wary. Roar! The gold-devouring demon lion roared into the sky and a huge shockwave killed more than 10 bloodbats. Ning Yu and the gold-devouring demon lion's attacks had a certain effect. The blood-colored bat, which was not afraid of death, actually retreated for a moment. As the blood-bats retreated, before Ning Yu could heave a sigh of relief, he realized that a huge bloodbat had appeared behind the bloodbats. Bloodbat King. Looking at the sudden appearance of the huge bloodbat, Ning Yu's heart sank to the bottom. The Bloodbat King was different from the ordinary bloodbat. The ordinary bloodbats were rank 7 demonic beasts, but the Bloodbat King was a rank 8 demonic beast. Moreover, it had reached the terrifying mid-stage rank 8 demonic beast. The weakest mid-stage rank 8 demonic beast was equivalent to a rank 4 human supreme among humans. With the combat power of Ning Yu and the rest, how could they fight against the Bloodbat with the strength of a rank 4 human supreme? Delicious humans, you are lucky to have met me. The Bloodbat King opened its bloody mouth and said coldly, I never spit out the bones when I eat people. If you meet the Bone Demon, you will be in for a hard time. Bloodbat King, there might be some misunderstanding between us. Can we sit down and talk? Ning Yu's eyes darted around, trying to think of a countermeasure. Fighting head-on was definitely out of the question. The only way was to outsmart them. Humans are cunning. I have nothing to talk about with you. Chapter 934. Did someone say the same thing to you? Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat when he heard the blood-colored Bat King's words. Since the blood-colored Bat King had said that, it meant that someone must have entered the Beast King's palace not long ago. Furthermore, the warrior who entered the Beast King's palace had successfully deceived the blood-colored Bat King and escaped the hunt. Therefore, the blood-colored Bat King was on high alert and did not give Ning Yu and the rest any chance. I made a deal with Guemo. We'll see which side kills the most warriors within an hour. The blood-colored Bat King's eyes shone with a frightening glint as he bellowed. Go! Tear them apart! Whoosh! As the blood-colored Bat King bellowed, the blood-colored bats behind him flapped their wings and rushed out. The area that Ning Yu and the rest were in was not very spacious. Now that the blood-colored bats swarmed out, it seemed a little crowded. Ning Yu gripped the Red Fiend's sword and took a step forward. Together with the metal-devouring demon lion, they formed the first line of defense. It was also the sturdiest line of defense. Puff, 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 puff. Ning Yu waved the Red Fiend's sword continuously. With every slash, a blood-colored bat would be killed. The metal-devouring demon lion was not at a disadvantage at all. Every time he attacked, he killed many blood-colored bat. A bunch of trash. Get out of my way. The blood-colored Bat King was clearly dissatisfied with the blood-colored bat's attack. He flapped his wings and a strong gust of wind blew the blood-colored bats to the other side. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Following that, the blood-colored Bat King opened its mouth, and several cold flashes flew out. These cold flashes were blood-red in color and produced a strong whooshing sound. Swoosh. Looking at the incoming blood-colored cold flashes, Ning Yu exerted force with his right leg and kicked the corpse of a blood-colored bat away. Whoosh! The blood-colored cold flashes and blood-colored bats collided. The result was shocking. After the whooshing sound, the blood-colored bats dissipated from the world. Even though Ning Yu was prepared for this outcome, he felt his scalp tingle. Corrosive! The blood-colored cold light that the blood-colored Bat King spat out was extremely corrosive. One had to know that these blood-colored bats were all 7th-rank demonic beasts. Their bodies were extremely hard. Even such a tough body was instantly corroded. It was enough to show how corrosive the blood-colored cold light was. Gold-devouring demon lion, follow me! At this critical moment, Ning Yu's expression was extremely grave. With a flick of his wrist, all the essence in his sea of consciousness surged out, forming a protective essence barrier in front of him. Seeing this, the metal-devouring demon lion hurriedly released the energy in its body into the Yuan Qi light shield. Behind him, the Dark Emperor, the Lightning Wolf King, the Li Fire Divine Eagle, and even Qin Xiang and Lu Wei released their essence and injected it into the essence protection barrier. Qi. Several blood-red cold lights collided with the Yuan Qi barrier, producing a sizzling sound. Seeing that his blood-colored cold light was blocked, the blood-colored Bat King raised his eyebrows and laughed sinisterly. Not bad, you guys have some skills, but, at this point, the blood-colored Bat King paused for a moment before continuing. You guys met me today. Therefore, you are destined to die without a burial place. With that, the blood-colored Bat King opened its mouth again and spat out several blood-colored cold lights in front of everyone's horrified gazes. I'm going to kill you. Looking at the blood-colored cold lights that flew out of the blood-colored Bat King's mouth, Ning Yu could not help but curse. Ning Yu knew his limits. The Yuan Qi light shield formed by him, the metal-devouring demon lion, and the others could only withstand the first round of blood-colored cold lights at most. If there was a second round of blood-colored cold lights, they would definitely be finished. Let's fight. At this moment, Ning Yu knew that he could not hold back at all. Otherwise, he would really die without a burial place. Metal-devouring demon lion, you take charge of the Yuan Qi light shield. I'll go deal with the blood-colored Bat King. With a low roar, Ning Yu stomped on the ground and his body shot out. Seeing Ning Yu rush out, the metal-devouring demon lion was a little stunned. The blood-colored Bat King was a mid-8th rank demonic beast. Its strength was equivalent to a 4th-grade human supreme martial artist. And you're only in the late manifestation realm. The metal-devouring demon lion would never believe that a late manifestation realm warrior could fight a 4th-grade human supreme martial artist demonic beast. What a waste! If I had known earlier, I would not have entered the Beast King Palace with Ning Yu. At this moment, the metal-devouring demon lion was very upset, but there was nothing he could do. He had come with Ning Yu to obtain the innate spirit due and the 6th-grade human supreme martial artist demonic beast core from Ning Yu. Now, it was very likely that he would end up losing the bait. Good timing! After the blood-colored cold light was shot out, the Bat King ignored it. Instead, it twisted its neck and took a step forward to fight with Ning Yu. Almost at the moment of contact, Ning Yu could not withstand the heavy blow and was forced to retreat dozens of feet before he could stabilize himself. I'm going to eat you alive. In the next moment, the blood-colored Bat King opened its mouth and a terrifying suction force came from its mouth, trying to swallow Ning Yu alive. Facing the blood-colored Bat King's bloody mouth, Ning Yu did not retreat. Instead, he dashed out. Ning Yu, what are you doing? Don't do anything stupid. Behind the metal-devouring demon lion, the Dark Emperor and the rest exclaimed when they saw Ning Yu's actions. Red Demon, it's all up to you now. Ning Yu took a deep breath. Just as he was about to reach the blood-colored Bat King, he suddenly changed his direction. However, when Ning Yu changed his direction, he suddenly threw the red demon sword. Whoosh! The blood-colored Bat King did not take the red demon sword seriously. It flapped its wings and a strong gust of wind flew out. The strong gust of wind did not stop the red demon sword. In the blink of an eye, the red demon sword arrived before the blood-colored Bat King and swiftly slashed at its bloody mouth. The red demon sword was a sovereign flying sword. One could imagine that the blood-colored Bat King's lips would definitely be cut off if it was struck. Humph! I've underestimated you. However, the blood-colored Bat King was a mid-stage level 8 demon beast after all. It still had a sharp eye. Sensing the terrifying essence energy fluctuations emanating from the red demon sword, the blood-colored Bat King opened its mouth and spat out another blood-colored cold gleam. Ding! 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 The blood-colored cold gleam clashed with the red demon sword. Swoosh! After that move, the red demon sword tore through the void and flew into Ning Yu's hand. Seems like I have to expose my spatial laws. Wielding the red demon sword, Ning Yu's eyes darkened. The situation was clear now. Unless he used spatial laws, there was no way to break out of today's situation. Boom! Boom! However, just as Ning Yu was about to activate the spatial laws in his sea of consciousness, something strange happened. A crack suddenly appeared in the space behind the blood-colored bat. After that, several figures appeared from the crack. Damn it! The figures cursed the moment they appeared. Chapter 935. Join forces, it's you. Ning Yu recognized all of these figures that suddenly appeared. They were none other than the people from the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion, Zhu Zhen, Yun Mu, and Supremacy Marshal. At this moment, the three of them were in a slightly sorry state. Even Zhu Zhen's clothes were somewhat tattered. Interesting, it's getting more and more interesting. The blood-colored Bat King opened its mouth wide and swallowed the blood-colored cold light it had just spat out into its stomach. It laughed sinisterly and said, "3 more delicious humans have come. Go." As the blood-colored Bat King's voice rang out, many blood-colored bats swarmed towards Zhu Zhen and the others. Die. Although Zhu Zhen's clothes were damaged, his fighting strength did not decrease at all. He could kill many of these blood-colored bats that were at the late stage of the creation realm and half a step to the supremacy realm with a single move. Coupled with Yun Mu and the Talisman Martial Supremacy's help, the area was soon filled with blood-colored bats. Stop! Seeing that more and more bats were dying, the blood-colored Bat King said in a deep voice. Hua! The blood-colored bats were well trained, so they immediately stopped attacking upon hearing the sound. Good, very good. This will be more fun, the Bat King said gloomily. Buzz. Right at this moment, space shook once more. Then, another group of people appeared beside Zhu Zhen and the others. Yin Hua. It was a bit far-fetched to say that they were the same group of people, because there were only 2 people in this group. One of them was Yin Hua, while the other was the venerable spirit cauldron of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Without a doubt, the rest of the warriors of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple had all perished in the outer region of the Beast King's palace. Gotcha! Not long after Yin Hua and the others appeared, a few people from the Blood God Palace also appeared in this area. Compared to the people of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, there were a few more people left in the Blood God Temple. But that was all. Other than Shui Wuming and the evil dragon Venerable, the Blood God Palace only had 2 martial artists at the peak of the creation realm who had survived. At this point, the Blood God Palace, the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, the Nine Cauldrons Divine Pavilion, and Ning Yu's group were all gathered here. Just like how they dealt with the 6-winged sky soaring serpent in the past, no single force was a match for the 6-winged sky soaring serpent. However, if several forces joined forces, they would be able to contend against the 6-winged sky soaring serpent. Therefore, the Scarlet Bat King's expression became increasingly unsightly as more and more martial artists appeared. In the end, the blood-colored Bat King even rose from the ground and rushed out. Roar! The blood-colored Bat King was very smart. If it continued to wait, who knew what unforeseen events would happen? He wanted to take advantage of the fact that he could still suppress all the martial artists present and kill them all. Otherwise, even if he was very powerful, he wouldn't be able to handle a few more forces. Rumble. However, as soon as the blood-colored Bat King charged out, its expression changed drastically, and it hurriedly retreated. This was because the blood-colored Bat King discovered that the space in front of it had suddenly cracked open. Then, an extremely terrifying attack had blasted out from the spatial crack. An earth-shattering explosion resounded in the area. Then, a few wretched figures flew out from the spatial crack. Ha ha ha, trash is indeed trash. You actually think that you can contend against me just because your cultivation has reached grade 3 human supreme? Humans are indeed an amazing species. As soon as the figures were blasted out, a loud laughter came from the spatial crack. Following closely behind the laughter was an extremely thin and weak figure. Bone Demon. Ning Yu and the others might not recognize this thin and weak martial artist, but the blood-colored Bat King was very familiar with him. In the outer area of the Beast King Palace, there were a total of 2 hunters. One was him, and the other was Bone Demon. Bone Demon's cultivation was the same as his, grade 4 human supreme. However, there was still a huge difference between him and Bone Demon. He had a large number of blood-colored bats following him, while Bone Demon had always acted alone. TSK, blood-colored Bat King, how many martial artists have you killed? As soon as Bone Demon appeared, he let out a weird laugh at the blood-colored Bat King and said sinisterly, I've killed a total of 10 martial artists. Among them, 2 were half-step supreme, and the rest were manifestation realm martial artists. The blood-colored Bat King snorted coldly. You've come just in time. I've already surrounded these people, and it's time for them to die. As he spoke, the blood-colored Bat King was about to attack. Hold on. Since Bone Demon was here, he definitely wouldn't let the blood-colored Bat King enjoy the food alone. Bone Demon waved his hand, indicating that the blood-colored Bat King didn't have to be anxious. What do you want? The blood-colored Bat King said coldly. I don't want anything. Bone Demon shrugged, then changed the topic. However, you should understand that those who witness this should have a share. So, you have to give me half of these martial artists. Give your ass. The blood-colored Bat King said angrily. If you're so capable, go hunt by yourself. Why fight with me for food? Bat King, you can't go back on your words. I gave you more than a dozen first-grade sovereign martial artists from the previous batch that entered the Beast King Palace. Now that I'm asking you to give me a few people, why are you stuttering? Bone Demon's face instantly turned cold. It would have been better if Bone Demon hadn't mentioned the previous batch of people that entered the Beast King Palace. The moment he mentioned it, the blood-colored Bat King's face turned ugly. There were indeed many people from the previous batch that entered the Beast King Palace. When Bone Demon was in danger, it was him who helped him deal with more than a dozen first-grade sovereign martial artists. Otherwise, Bone Demon would definitely have died without a burial place. After all, in the Beast King Palace, the hunter and the hunted had a hostile relationship. Ning Yu, you're well aware of the current situation. Whether we can survive will depend on whether we can let bygones be bygones. While Bone Demon and the blood-colored Bat King were entangled, Venerable Spirit Cauldron's soul force surged and transmitted his voice to Ning Yu. Ning Yu, why don't we join forces? In addition to Venerable Spirit Cauldron, Venerable Evil Dragon and Venerable Talisman Marshal also had solemn expressions as they transmitted their voices to Ning Yu. As long as one wasn't a fool, they would be well aware of the current situation. If they joined forces, there would still be a chance of survival. If they didn't, only death awaited them. Ning Yu didn't directly answer Venerable Spirit Cauldron's words. Instead, he glanced at Venerable Blood Destruction and Sure Mo, who were blasted out of the void by Bone Demon. His meaning was self-evident. Venerable Blood Destruction and Sure Mo had suffered heavy injuries, and their combat power was less than 1/10 of their peak. In other words, they were already crippled. Relying on Ning Yu's side alone, the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Blood God Palace, and Nine Cauldrons Divine Pavilion was also impossible to contend against the blood-colored Bat King and the others. Seeing Ning Yu's actions, the disappointment on the faces of Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the others gradually deepened. It was so much so that Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the others looked down on Ning Yu from the bottom of their hearts. Only by daring to fight and fight could they have a chance of survival. Taking a gamble, a bicycle could turn into a motorcycle. You guys help me block Bone Demon and the blood-colored Bat King. At least buy me 10 minutes of time. Chapter 936. Shocking what? Hearing this, the eyes of the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the others widened, and their faces turned ugly. If it weren't for the Scarlet Bat King and Bone Demon, they would have cursed out loud. If they used all their trump cards, they could naturally resist Bone Demon and the Scarlet Bat King for 10 minutes. However, they did not believe in Ning Yu. They did not believe that Ning Yu could kill Bone Demon and the Scarlet Bat King in 10 minutes. After all, Ning Yu's cultivation was only at the advanced stage of creation. No matter how powerful he was, how powerful could he be? Therefore, the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the others all revealed disdainful look. You have no choice. Ning Yu knew that the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the others did not believe him, but even if they did not believe him, Ning Yu had to say so. Because this was their only chance to survive. Use the law of space. If there was only the Scarlet Bat King, Ning Yu would not need the help of the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the others at all. He could deal with the Scarlet Bat King by himself. However, the appearance of Bone Demon completely disrupted Ning Yu's rhythm. In the current situation, only a surprise attack could achieve a miraculous effect. Deal. While the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the others were still hesitating, Bone Demon and the Scarlet Bat King had reached some kind of agreement and completely joined forces. The alliance of Bone Demon and the Scarlet Bat King sped up the Venerable Spirit Cauldron's consideration. After thinking for a while, the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the others decided to agree to Ning Yu's request. She didn't believe that Ning Yu couldn't do anything about it. As long as Ning Yu did not want to make a move, there was nothing they could do. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. After thinking about it, the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the others flashed through the swarm of scarlet bats and landed in front of Ning Yu. Gold Devouring Lion, Fire Divine Condor, both of you are Grade 2 Human Supremes. Help them deal with the Scarlet Bat King and Bone Demon. Ning Yu went directly to the back, sat cross-legged, and transmitted his voice to the Gold Devouring Lion and Fire Divine Condor. Screech. The Li Fire Divine Condor had already sworn a Heavenly Tao oath to Ning Yu that he must obey Ning Yu's arrangements. The Metal Devouring Demon Lion was different. Right now, he was retreating a little. But the thought of retreating only lasted for a second. The Metal Devouring Demon Lion tossed it to the back of its mind. At most, he would just die. What was there to be afraid of? Oh my, you guys still want to resist? Seeing the actions of Ning Yu and the others, the blood-colored Bat King raised his brows and laughed sinisterly. With just you shrimp soldiers and crab generals? Crimson Bat King, don't get too full of yourself. With the few of us joining forces, we can even contend against a six-winged sky-soaring python, let alone you guys. Venerable Spirit Cauldron stepped forward and said coldly. Six-winged sky-soaring python? Hearing this, the blood-colored Bat King's brows became slightly gloomy. The six-winged sky-flying python was the same as them, a mid-stage Tier 8 demonic beast. But the six-winged sky-flying python's strength was much higher than theirs. Suddenly, the blood-colored Bat King seemed to have thought of something and sneered. The six-winged sky-flying python is restricted by the Python Trapping Array and can only unleash 50% of its peak strength. It's nothing much that you guys can contend against it. Crimson Bat King, why are you talking nonsense with them? According to our previous agreement, let's see who kills them first. Hearing the argument between the blood-colored Bat King and the venerable spirit cauldron, the Bone Demon curled his lips in disdain and charged towards the venerable spirit cauldron. According to the agreement, the Bone Demon could deal with the cultivators of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple and the Blood God Palace. As for the blood-colored Bat King, it could only deal with the Nine Cauldron Divine Pavilion and Ningyu. Attack. Looking at the Bone Demon that was constantly approaching them, the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the Venerable Blood Slayer did not dare to delay and immediately charged out to fight the Bone Demon. Yinhua and Shui Wuming's fighting strength was slightly lower, so they could only support from the side. Facts had proven that without using their trump cards, the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and Blood Destruction Venerable, 2 third-grade Sovereign Realm Sovereigns, couldn't even withstand a single blow. The Bone Demon blasted out 2 moves in a row, hitting their chests respectively. The huge force caused them to retreat several feet and fall into the swarm of blood-colored bats. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the Venerable Blood Slayer charged out again. But this time, they had learned their lesson. Trump cards. Each of them used their trump cards. The Venerable Spirit Cauldron took out a light blue flying sword. A king-rank supreme grade flying sword. The flying sword that the Venerable Spirit Cauldron took out was called the Blue Light Sword and had reached the king-rank supreme grade. In a sense, the power of the Blue Light Sword had already surpassed the king rank and reached the half-step emperor rank. Seeing that the Venerable Spirit Cauldron took out the half-step emperor rank flying sword, the Venerable Blood Slayer opened his mouth and spat out a black sphere. Blood Explosion Ball. The Venerable Blood Slayer was a third-grade human supreme-grade cultivator of the Blood God Palace. He carried the treasure of the Blood God Palace with him, the Blood Explosion Ball. According to legend, the Blood Explosion Ball was personally developed by the current palace master of the Blood God Palace and was very powerful. The Blood Explosion Ball was divided into 3 grades: lower grade, middle grade, and upper grade. The inferior grade Blood Explosion Ball was not very powerful and could only kill Creation Realm martial artists. The middle grade Blood Explosion Ball could kill any cultivator below the 2nd grade human supreme grade. As for the upper grade Blood Explosion Ball, as long as it was released when the 4th grade human supreme grade wasn't paying attention, it could even kill a 4th grade human supreme grade. The Blood Explosion Ball that the Venerable Blood Slayer took out was of the middle grade. Swish! With a flick of his wrist, the Venerable Blood Slayer threw out the Blood Explosion Ball. Explode! As the Venerable Blood Slayer growled, the Blood Explosion Ball suddenly exploded when it was close to the Bone Demon. Rumble! The aftermath of the explosion spread in all directions. Some of the blood-colored bats with low cultivation couldn't withstand it and were instantly turned into nothingness. After one move, the Venerable Blood Slayer and the Venerable Spirit Cauldron rushed out and fought with the Bone Demon again. Although the power of the Blood Explosion Ball made the Bone Demon afraid, the Venerable Blood Slayer and the Venerable Spirit Cauldron were still at a disadvantage. Bang! While they were fighting, on the other side, the Bloodbat Monarch also made a move. Compared to the Venerable Blood Slayer and the Venerable Spirit Cauldron, the Venerable Talisman Marshal and the others were under much more pressure. As soon as they exchanged blows, the Flaming Divine Eagle was hit by the Bloodbat Monarch and was forced to retreat dozens of feet. Bang! 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 Following that, the metal-devouring Demon Lion, Yunmu, and even Yunmu were defeated. The battle had only lasted for 2 minutes, and the 9 Cauldron Divine Pavilion and Ning Yu had lost their generals one after another. Only the Venerable Talisman Marshal was struggling to hold on. 8 minutes. There were still 8 minutes left. With the Venerable Talisman Marshal's strength, how could he last? Humph. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The Bloodbat Monarch was furious that it was stopped by an ant. With a cold snort, it rushed out quickly. Embryonic domain. Now that things had come to this, the venerable talisman marshal had nothing to hide. She shouted in a low voice. Immediately, a terrifying pressure spread out with her as the center. Domain. Chapter 937. Belonging Domain. Cultivators who had reached the supremacy realm were no strangers to this. In fact, they were very familiar with each other. This was because domain was a realm that all Supreme Being realm martial artists yearned for even in their dreams. A first-grade human supreme martial artist with a domain could even fight against a third-grade human supreme martial artist. It's actually a domain. At that moment, the blood-red Bat King's expression became solemn. Even he didn't dare to say that he could kill a peak grade 1 human sovereign with a domain. If a peak grade 1 human sovereign with a domain wanted to escape, he wouldn't be able to stop him. Fortunately, I managed to deceive the Scarlet Bat King. Otherwise, I really don't know what to do. Upon seeing everyone's reaction, especially the blood-red Bat Monarch's gloomy expression, Supremacy Marshal took a deep breath, and the worry in his heart eased a little. However, the Talisman Marshal Supremacy did not let her guard down. After all, she knew that her embryonic domain could only deceive the Scarlet Bat King for a few minutes at most. A few minutes later, the Bat King would definitely figure out that she was using the embryonic domain and not the real one. At that time, the real battle would begin. Glancing back at Ningyu, Talisman Supremacy slowly closed his eyes and quietly waited for the battle to begin. As for Zhu Zhen and the others, they were seizing the time to recuperate. It was such a good opportunity to recuperate. If he missed this opportunity, he wouldn't get another one. Drip, drip. Time was ticking away. On the other side, the battle between Bone Devil and Venerable Spirit Cauldron also stopped. In fact, Bone was the same as the blood-colored Bat Monarch. He did not know how terrifying the Talisman Supremacy's domain was. Seeing that the Bat Monarch had stopped attacking, he also stopped attacking. Venerable Spirit Cauldron and Venerable Blood Extermination were very excited when the Bone Devil stopped attacking. They were no match for the Bone Demon. Even if they used their trump cards, there was no way they could contend with the Bone Demon. Now that the Bone Devil had stopped attacking, they, like Zhu Zhen and the others, seized the fleeting opportunity to recuperate. Get in! At the very back of the area, Ningyu was still sitting cross-legged on the ground. On the surface, Ningyu's expression was devoid of joy or sorrow, as if he was in a meditative state. However, as the person involved, Ningyu knew that the danger he was facing was not inferior to the Talisman Martial Supremacy and the others. In his sea of consciousness, Ningyu divided his mind into two. Part of it was used to control the law of space, while the other part was used to control soul force. Multitasking. Right now, Ningyu was indeed multitasking. Moreover, Ningyu's ability to multitask was rather special. He tried his best to compress his soul force into the spatial laws. One had to know that the law of space was a very terrifying thing. Compressing soul force into the law of space? The slightest bit of carelessness would cause the space laws to explode and his soul force to shatter. Fortunately, Ningyu was a heavenly supreme in his previous life. Otherwise, he would have been long dead. Pooh! Suddenly, the law of space struggled in Ningyu's sea of knowledge. Almost in an instant, it squeezed out the soul force that had just entered his body. This repelling effect made Ningyu's throat taste sweet. The fishy sweetness that came from his throat made Ningyu's body sway a little. Ningyu knew that he must not have any reaction at this time. Otherwise, it would be for naught. Swallowing the fishy sweetness in his throat, Ningyu tried once more. Puff, puff, puff. On the 10th attempt, Ningyu finally squeezed his soul force into the law of space. F***CK. Right at this moment, the blood-colored Bat King finally reacted. What you have is an embryonic domain, not a real domain. The blood-colored Bat King's expression was very ugly, feeling that it was cheated. The difference between an embryonic domain and a domain was still very huge. A martial artist with a domain could hang up and beat up a martial artist with an embryonic domain of the same rank. Using 1 to fight 10 to describe it was not an exaggeration. Embryonic domain? The bone demon seemed to have not reacted yet. His brows were tightly furrowed as he released his perception, carefully probing the talisman martial supremacy. Spirit cauldron supremacy, blood destruction supremacy, why aren't you guys making a move? Sensing the bone demon's perception flying towards him, the talisman martial supremacy instantly stood up and yelled. Swish! Swish! Upon hearing this, the spirit cauldron supremacy and the blood destruction supremacy did not dare to delay and immediately took action. Among them, the blood destruction supremacy did not hold back anymore. He took out the superior grade blood explosion ball and threw it at the bone demon. Courting death. Originally, the bone demon wanted to probe the talisman martial supremacy. Now that the blood destruction supremacy had thrown the blood explosion ball at him, he was instantly enraged. He gave up on probing the talisman martial supremacy and turned to fight with the blood destruction supremacy. The bone demon already knew the power of the blood explosion ball. Therefore, before the blood explosion ball reached him, he tore the void and disappeared. Oh no! The blood destruction supremacy did not expect the bone demon to be so smart. He hurriedly formed a seal with both hands and controlled the blood explosion ball to return to his side. Ha ha ha, the blood explosion ball is not bad. I'll accept it. However, just when the blood destruction supremacy wanted to retrieve the blood explosion ball, he realized that he had lost contact with it. The bone demon suddenly appeared beside the blood explosion ball and took out a blood-red cloth bag. In front of the blood destruction supremacy, he placed the blood explosion ball into the cloth bag. Bang! Just when the bone demon kept the blood explosion ball, the Crimson Bat King seized the opportunity and struck the talisman martial supremacy's chest, sending him flying to the corner. After defeating the talisman martial supremacy with a single move, the Crimson Bat King did not hold back. Instead, he struck again and struck Yun Mu and Zhu Zhen with the same move. Yun Mu and Zhu Zhen were only first-grade human supremacies. Naturally, their resistance was not as strong as the talisman martial supremacy. A mouthful of blood spurted out and Yun Mu and Zhu Zhen's faces instantly turned pale. Metal-devouring demon lion, fire divine condor, if you're willing to submit to me and become my followers, I can consider letting you off. The Crimson Bat King did not want to kill the metal-devouring demon lion and fire divine condor, who were both second-grade human supremacies. After all, they might encounter all sorts of people in the outer region of the Beast King Palace. There were also many powerful martialists. More helpers meant more options, right? Crimson Bat King. Just at this moment, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes and stood up from the ground, walking forward step by step. After a while, Ningyu arrived before the Crimson Bat King. You want the metal-devouring demon lion and fire divine condor to submit to you? Ningyu's face was emotionless as he spoke. Ningyu's actions caused the Crimson Bat King to frown his brows. He vaguely felt that something was amiss. However, with the Crimson Bat King's cultivation, how could he be intimidated by Ningyu? Stop acting mysterious. I can crush a martialist like you with one hand, the Crimson Bat King said coldly. I know that you can crush me with one hand. Chapter 938. All of them. Who do you think you are to discuss the ownership of the Fire Divine Eagle and the metal-devouring demon lion with me? No one knew what the blood-red Bat King was thinking. He did not attack Ningyu immediately. Instead, he said in a deep voice, you are the same as me. We are not the creators of the rules and can only follow the rules of the Beast King Palace. Ningyu said, You think you are a hunter in the outer area of the Beast King Palace and treat me as your prey. Little do you know that we also treat you as our prey. Ah! Hearing that, the Scarlet Bat Monarch laughed wildly and said coldly, I am a mid-stage rank 8 demon beast. I can kill a warrior like you with one hand. Aren't you afraid of getting your tongue bitten by the wind? Ningyu curled his lips and said, Since you said that you're very strong, then I'll give you a chance. I'll give you a chance to kill me. As he spoke, Ningyu took another step forward and extended his left and right hands. He said to the blood-colored Bat King and Bone Demon beside him, Since you guys are only mid-stage rank 8 demonic beasts, your strength is limited. Therefore, I'll let you two attack together. What? Hearing Ningyu's extremely arrogant words, apart from the Scarlet Bat Monarch and Bone Demon, even the Venerable of Spirit Cauldron and the rest opened their mouths wide in disbelief. Gulp! Everyone swallowed their saliva and looked at Ningyu as though he was a fool. The expressions on their faces were very interesting. Your arrogance did not hit the nail on the head. To be precise, the point of force was not right. It was a little crooked. Get close to me later. I will find a way to tear the void and leave this place. The Venerable of Spirit Cauldron whispered to Yin Hua beside him. Ningyu had lost his mind. He could not go crazy with Ningyu. He could take advantage of the chaos to leave while Ningyu was fighting with the Scarlet Bat Monarch and the rest. Venerable Blood Destruction, Venerable Talisman Marshal, Zhu Jin, and the rest had the same thought as the Venerable of Spirit Cauldron. Right now, the only ones who believed in Ningyu were Lu Wei and the Dark Emperor. Brat, I thought I was already very arrogant. I didn't expect you to be even more arrogant than me. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. The blood-red Bat King berated with a gloomy expression. That's right. Don't forget, you have to attack together with Bone Devil. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that nothing will happen. Ningyu said calmly as he looked at the enraged Bat King. Bone Demon, attack with me. The Blood Bat King was finally at the end of his patience, and he let out an explosive roar before he flapped his wings and shot out explosively. I also want to see what's so special about this kid. In the beginning, the Bone Devil did not intend to make a move. After all, in his opinion, the Scarlet Bat Monarch was enough to kill Ningyu. However, the Bone Demon could not stand Ningyu's arrogance. In the end, he chose to attack together with the Scarlet Bat King. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two figures were extremely fast, arriving beside Ningyu in the blink of an eye. Bang! Stab! The Bone Devil's right hand blasted out, hitting Ningyu's chest without any deviation. As for the Scarlet Bat King, it flapped its wings and a strong gust of wind streaked across Ningyu's chest. Two consecutive powerful attacks caused Ningyu to spit out a mouthful of fresh blood as his face turned pale. Can't even withstand a single blow. The Scarlet Bat King and the Bone Devil curled their lips in disdain when they saw Ningyu's tragic state. Swoosh! Right at this moment, Ningyu flicked his wrist and threw the storage ring at the Dark Emperor. Dark Emperor, act according to my instructions later. If necessary, all of you enter the storage ring. Ningyu sent a voice transmission to the Dark Emperor. The Dark Emperor's heart skipped a beat, vaguely feeling that something might happen. Be prepared. At the side, the Spirit Cauldron Venerable, the Blood Destruction Venerable, and even the Evil Dragon Venerable, who was severely injured on the ground, secretly made up their minds. As long as Ningyu and the Scarlet Bat King fought again, they would tear the void and leave. There was only one chance. If they missed it, they would regret it for the rest of their lives. Scarlet Bat King, Bone Devil, is that all you've got? Ningyu wiped the blood at the corner of his mouth and approached the Scarlet Bat King step by step. Seeing Ningyu's actions, the blood-colored Bat King and Bone Demon revealed a trace of shock in their eyes. To be honest, although the Scarlet Bat King and the Bone Devil did not use their full strength in that attack earlier on, they used 50% of their strength. The reason why they did not use their full strength was because they were guarding against any schemes that Ningyu might have. Even so, their attack with 50% of their strength should have killed Ningyu. Go all out. The Scarlet Bat King and the Bone Devil felt very embarrassed that the two mid-stage 8th stage demonic beasts could not kill a late-stage manifestation realm human in one move. Therefore, they decided to go all out. Everyone used 100% of their strength. Let's go. As soon as the Scarlet Bat King and the Bone Devil launched their attacks, the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and the others did not hesitate to burn their blood essence to tear the void and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Scarlet Bat, go stop them. The Scarlet Bat King had already expected that the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and the others would find a way to escape. He ordered while attacking Ningyu. Whoosh! The numerous Scarlet Bats also tore the void and chased after them. As long as the Scarlet Bats followed them, the Scarlet Bat King was not afraid that he would not be able to find the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and the others. Open your minds! The Dark Emperor was very smart. He immediately shouted when he saw the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and the others taking action. Swoosh! Swoosh! As soon as the Dark Emperor's voice fell, several beams of light rushed out of the storage ring and shone on Lu Wei, sucking Lu Wei and Furball, who was in Lu Wei's arms, into the storage ring. Damn it! Open your minds if you don't want to die. The Dark Emperor cursed when he saw the Lightning Wolf King and the others hesitating. Whoosh! 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 After being scolded by the Dark Emperor, the Lightning Wolf King and the others seemed to have an epiphany. They immediately opened their minds and were sucked into the storage ring by the primordial chi light beam. When everything was ready, the Dark Sovereign took a deep breath and her figure flashed. In the blink of an eye, she entered the storage ring and disappeared. Ding! A crisp sound rang out as the storage ring fell to the ground. A Dharma treasure that can store people? The Scarlet Bat King and the Bone Devil were a little stunned when they saw the sudden defense. Hee, it's not good to be distracted now. However, just when the Scarlet Bat King and the others were slightly stunned, Ningyu smiled and a purple ball of light suddenly appeared in his sea of consciousness. Chi. The purple ball of light was about the size of a fist and contained violent primordial chi wave. Apart from the primordial chi waves, there was also a terrifying soul power surrounding the ball of light. What's that? Looking at the purple ball of light that was speeding toward them, the Scarlet Bat King and the Bone Devil looked at each other and saw some doubt in each other's eyes. They were only mid-stage 8th order demonic beasts, so it was understandable that they did not know the law of space. Chapter 939. The might of the laws. Ningyu ignored the shock of the blood-red Bat King and Bone Demon. His figure flashed and directly flew to the side of the storage ring. Then, under the shocked gazes of the blood-red Bat King and Bone Demon, Ningyu took off the king-rank mid-grade phantom armor and leaped into the storage ring. Bang! Ningyu had already arranged everything. As soon as he entered the storage ring, the phantom armor covered the storage ring. I'll swallow you! The blood-red Bat King felt deceived by Ningyu. He opened his mouth, and a terrifying devouring power gushed out from his mouth, swallowing the purple ball of light in an instant. Bat King, I'll go put away the storage ring and armor first. Seeing the blood-red Bat King swallow the purple ball of light, Bone Demon stomped on the ground and rushed to the storage ring at an astonishing speed. Both the blood-red Bat King and Bone Demon knew very well how precious a storage ring that could store a person was. Therefore, Bone Demon wanted to be one step ahead of the blood-red Bat King and take the storage ring for himself. Bone Demon, anyone who sees. Oh no! How could the blood-red Bat King let Bone Demon snatch the storage ring? Before he had time to refine the purple ball of light, he yelled and chased after it. The blood-red Bat King's speed was very fast. He did not even hesitate to burn his blood essence to increase his speed, so he was on par with Bone Demon in the blink of an eye. Humph! The storage ring is mine, and the armor is yours. Bone Demon turned to look at the blood-red Bat King beside him and snorted. The storage ring is mine, and the armor is yours." The blood-red Bat King did not give in at all and said coldly. Bone Demon and the blood-red Bat King did not want to give in and even showed signs of fighting. "Stop arguing. Neither of you can get the armor or the storage ring." At this moment, Ning Yu's voice sounded in a timely manner. "Brat, I know you're in the storage ring. I'll give you one last piece of advice. Come out and I'll leave your corpse intact. Otherwise," the blood-red Bat King said coldly when he heard Ning Yu's words. Due to Bone Demon's restriction, the blood-red Bat King stopped when he was 10 meters away from the storage ring. "You'd better think about how to bury your corpse." Ning Yu interrupted the Bat King and said, "Now, I can tell you that the ball of violet light you just devoured was the laws of space." "Law of space?" The Crimson Bat King and Bone Devil were slightly stunned. Then, a look of terror appeared in their eyes. The blood-colored Bat Monarch hurriedly urged the energy in its body to expel the spatial laws. As for Guemo, he forcefully tore apart the void in an attempt to leave. Rumble! However, just as the Bone Demon tore open the void, before it could step in, the blood-colored Bat King's body expanded rapidly. Then, with a boom, it exploded. With the explosion as the center, the scattered flesh fragments continued to spread outward. Poochie, Bone Demon, who had yet to step into space, was forcefully pushed back several feet. He suddenly vomited a large mouthful of blood. The aura of a peak fourth-grade human supreme martial artist instantly dropped to the creation realm. Moreover, it was still descending. Caw-caw. At the same time, within the storage ring, Ning Yu and the rest felt the space tremble and their bodies were on the verge of collapsing. Fortunately, the phantom armors were protecting them from the outside. Otherwise, the defense of the storage ring alone would have definitely been broken from the outside. Ning Yu and the rest were safe, but the phantom armors had a few cracks. Buzz. Not long after, Ning Yu and the rest dashed out of the storage ring and appeared in this area. Hiss. Looking at the scene of devastation, the metal-devouring demon lion and the rest couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Just what kind of powerful attack did Ning Yu use to destroy this area to this extent? Most importantly, the blood-colored Bat King had already turned into nothingness, and Bone Devil was lying on the ground like a dead dog, panting heavily. When did Ning Yu become so powerful? The metal-devouring demon lion stared at Ning Yu, the shock on his face clear for all to see. Not to mention the metal-devouring demon lion and the rest were shocked. Even Ning Yu felt a trace of disbelief. The law of space was actually so powerful. Swoosh. With a thought, Ning Yu hurriedly kept the law of space into his consciousness. It was better not to expose such a precious thing in front of others. Otherwise, it would be a little troublesome if he encountered someone with ill intentions. After keeping the law of space, Ning Yu walked towards Bone Devil step by step. Although Bone Devil had suffered heavy injuries, Ning Yu did not let his guard down. As the saying went, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. A mid-stage 8th-grade demonic beast like Bone Devil might be able to explode with extremely powerful combat power. If he was accidentally injured, it would be a little too much to gain. Ning Yu walked very slowly. As he walked, he released his soul perception. He was always on guard against the sudden attack of the Bone Demon. A journey that should have taken 1 to 2 minutes took Ning Yu a full 4 to 5 minutes before he arrived. Stopping in front of Bone Devil, Ning Yu said coolly, "Don't put on an act. I know you're not dead." Bone Devil naturally was not blasted to death by the aftermath of the blood-colored Bat King's explosion. He snorted coldly and crawled up from the ground with difficulty. The current Bone Devil's brows were full of viciousness. "I admit that I fell for your tricks," Bone Devil said solemnly, "but don't get cocky. I'm already on guard now. It's already impossible for you to sneak an attack on me again. Have you lost your mind?" Hearing Bone Devil's almost crazed words, Ning Yu pursed his lips and said, "You're already severely injured at this time. Even if I don't use that thing, I can defeat you head-on." If you know what's good for you, answer a few questions of mine honestly, then swear a heavenly Tao oath to submit to me. Otherwise, I'll let you know why flowers are so red. Humph! Bone Devil snorted coldly and did not directly answer Ningyu's words. Ningyu did not care about Bone Devil's reaction. He sorted out his thoughts and said, First question. How many hunters are there in the inner region of the Beast King Palace? Since there were hunters in the outer region, there was an 80% chance that there would be hunters in the inner region as well. Now, the only thing that Ningyu was worried about was whether the hunters in the inner region were the illusory figures that he had encountered in the hub hall. If they were really illusory figures, then it would be over. After all, the strength of the illusory figures was many levels higher than Bone Devil and the blood-colored Bat King. There are 2 hunters in the outer region and 4 hunters in the inner region. Bone Devil's eyeballs moved, and no one knew what he was thinking. What are their levels? Ningyu continued. The inner region has a total of 4 parts: heaven, earth, mystic, and yellow. Each part has a hunter. Bone Devil seemed to instantly become well-behaved and said, The inner region that is adjacent to the outer region is the yellow level of heaven, earth, mystic, and yellow. The hunter is a 3-headed snake that is slightly stronger than me. 3-headed snake? Hearing this, Ningyu's expression turned slightly ugly. The 3-headed snake was not just slightly stronger than Bone Devil. It was much stronger. Chapter 940. Kill Off. In the Xian level area, the hunter is the fierce wind wolf, a rank 8 middle stage demonic beast. Its strength is even stronger than the 3-headed snake. Guemo did not care about Ningyu's shock and continued to introduce himself. In the Earth-class zone, the predator is the 8-legged centipede, a mid-stage 8th-class demonic beast. It's even stronger than Lai Feng Lang. In the Heaven-grade zone, the predator is the Earthshaker, a mid-8th order demonic beast. Its strength is equivalent to a 5th-grade human supreme martial artist. The first few sentences of the Bone Demon were still fine. After all, the strength of the 3-headed serpent, Gale Wolf, and 8-legged centipede was only equivalent to a 4th-grade human sovereign. However, the hunters in the Sky Rank area were different. The Earthshaker possessed the strength of a 5th-grade human supreme martial artist. Are the hunting rules in the inner area the same as the outer area? Taking a deep breath, Ningyu asked in a deep voice. Now was a good opportunity to figure out all the operating rules of the inner region. Otherwise, if they encountered danger in the inner region, wouldn't they be at a loss as to what to do? It's different. The outer region is a random hunt, while the inner region takes the form of an arena, said the Bone Devil. Arena format? Ningyu frowned. That's right. There are 4 hunters in the inner region. They guard the gates to the heaven, earth, mysterious, and yellow regions respectively. If you want to enter, you'll have to pass their test. Otherwise, you'll be stopped outside. The Bone Demon continued. What kind of tests were there in the past? Ningyu asked. I don't know much about this. After all, I don't have any dealings with them, and it's not convenient for me to ask. Bone Devil shook his head and said, Oh right. Suddenly, Guemo seemed to have thought of something. He patted his head and said, There are no treasures in the outer area of the Beast King's palace, but the inner area is different. Even the yellow level area has many treasures, Dharma treasures, elixirs, everything. Baby? Hearing the Bone Fiend mention treasures, Ningyu frowned slightly and fell into deep thought. Ever since he entered the Beast King Palace, Ningyu discovered that the Beast King Palace was filled with strangeness. Whether it was the Python trapping formation in the Hub Hall, or the Bone Devil and the Blood Bat King, he had encountered them. Of course, there was also the illusory figure he met in the Hub Hall. No matter which one of these people it was, they were all existences that could call the wind and summon the rain in the Sky Demon region. Naturally, what puzzled Ningyu the most was why the Blood God Palace, the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, and the Corpse Sect, who were renowned sects in the heavenly demon domain, only sent a third-grade mortal sovereign over. One must know that even a third-grade human sovereign wouldn't be able to move an inch in the outer region of the Beast King's palace, not to mention the inner region. Could it be that these sects had already sent powerful martial artists to enter the inner area of the Beast King Palace, or the core area? Ningyu, be careful. However, just as Ningyu was deep in thought, a loud voice was heard. Not good. Hearing the voice, Ningyu didn't have the time to think and immediately retreated. The reason why Ningyu retreated without observing was because it was the Dark Emperor that had shouted. It was impossible for the Dark Emperor to scare him. As for the situation, Ningyu retreated as he observed. Blood explosion sphere. What he saw had caused Ningyu's face to drastically change. The Bone Devil flicked his wrist and threw the blood explosion sphere towards Ningyu with all his strength. Venerable Blood Destruction's blood explosion sphere. Ningyu had recognized the blood explosion sphere at first glance. Just now, when Venerable Blood Destruction fought with the Bone Devil, he had used the blood explosion sphere. At that time, the Bone Devil had seized the opportunity to keep the blood explosion sphere. Now, the Bone Devil had taken the opportunity when Ningyu wasn't paying attention to throw the blood explosion sphere, intending to kill Ningyu. Everyone, let's attack together. Ningyu wouldn't sit and wait for death. The blood explosion sphere was extremely powerful, and if the Bone Devil detonated it, the consequences would be dire. Rustle! 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 Hearing Ningyu's solemn words, the Dark Emperor and the rest had unleashed their perception and surged towards the Bone Devil. At this moment, the Dark Emperor and the rest only had a single thought in their minds, and that was to sever the connection between the Bone Devil and the blood explosion sphere. Only by doing so could they get rid of this huge problem. Otherwise, the consequences would be extremely dangerous. After all, the blood explosion sphere that the Bone Devil had thrown out could threaten a fourth-grade sovereign. Red Demon Sword, follow me to kill the Bone Devil. The Dark Emperor and the rest were responsible for severing the connection between the Bone Devil and the blood explosion sphere. As for Ningyu, he was responsible for killing the Bone Devil. The reason why the Bone Devil had told him so much about the inner regions of the Beast King Palace was to divert his attention. Ningyu was well aware of this, so he didn't hold back at all. He channeled all the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness into the Red Demon Sword and even used his 7th-grade soul power, all so that he could kill the Bone Devil with a single slash. Oh no! Due to the severe injuries, the Bone Devil only had the battle prowess of a peak manifestation realm. If he couldn't control the explosion of the blood explosion sphere, the Bone Devil would be like a fish on a chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. He actually severed the connection between me and the blood explosion sphere. The Bone Devil cursed, then forced out a few drops of his blood essence and burned them. Ningyu, we can't hold on much longer. You must kill the Bone Devil within 10 seconds. Just as the Bone Devil burned his blood essence, the Dark Emperor and the rest felt the pressure on them increase. Don't worry, 10 seconds is enough. Ningyu's expression turned extremely cold, then he slashed with the Red Demon Sword in his hand and disappeared instantly. 3 seconds later, Ningyu appeared in front of the Bone Devil. Poof! In the 4th second, Ningyu stabbed out with his sword, accurately piercing the Bone Devil's heart. Ha! You want to kill me? It's not that easy. The Bone Devil laughed sinisterly as the Red Demon Sword pierced his body. What? The Bone Devil's laughter caused Ningyu's expression to change drastically. The Bone Devil was a mirror image person. His heart was different from a normal person's. A normal person's heart was on the left, but his heart was on the right. Ningyu gritted his teeth, hurriedly pulled back the Red Demon Sword, and slashed at the Bone Devil's right heart. This back and forth took up another 2 seconds. At this point, there were only 3 seconds left. In the 1st second, Ningyu stomped on the ground and rushed out again. In the 2nd second, Ningyu arrived beside the Bone Devil and stabbed at the Bone Devil's heart. At this moment, something strange happened. The Bone Devil suddenly spat out a cold gleam from his mouth, hitting the red demon sword, causing it to deviate from its trajectory. Ha ha ha, blood explosion sphere, give it to me! Seeing Ningyu's expression, the Bone Devil laughed out loud. The more complacent a person was, the more miserable they would be. The Bone Devil was such a person. Since the red demon sword had deviated from its trajectory, Ningyu did not go for the Bone Devil's heart. Instead, he changed his direction and slashed at the Bone Devil's neck. Crack! A crisp sound rang out in the area. Dong! 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 The Bone Devil's head was cut off by the red demon's sword and fell to the ground. Chapter 941. Yellow Level Palace. Even at the moment of his death, Guemo was still feeling smug. After all, he was about to succeed. As long as he could detonate the blood explosion ball before Ningyu stabbed his heart, he would be able to escape during the chaos. However, the ideal was very rich, but the reality was very harsh. Guemo did not manage to wait for that moment. Instead, it was his wits that allowed Ningyu to behead him with the red demon sword. After killing the Bone Devil at the last moment, Ningyu's nervous heart finally relaxed as he let out a long breath. Ningyu, here's the blood explosion ball. At this moment, the Dark Emperor carefully brought the blood explosion ball to Ningyu and handed it to Ningyu. The high-grade blood explosion ball was a powerful weapon against the enemy. As long as it was thrown out unexpectedly and detonated when it was close to the enemy, it could severely injure a fourth-grade human supreme martial artist or demonic beast. If it was prepared well, it could even kill a fourth-grade human supreme martial artist or demonic beast. After receiving the blood explosion ball, Ningyu separated a portion of his soul force and entered it. SSS. As soon as his soul force entered the blood explosion ball, Ningyu took a deep breath and quickly retracted his soul force. What's going on? The Dark Emperor asked. It's nothing. You guys rest here first. I'm going to refine this blood explosion ball. In order not to worry the Dark Emperor and the rest, Ningyu waved his hand and gestured for them to wait. At the same time, Ningyu took out the first storage bag he obtained from the six-winged sky soaring python and threw it to the Dark Emperor. The Dark Emperor glanced at Ningyu and retreated to the other side with the storage bag. After the Dark Emperor and the rest were far away, Ningyu then carefully examined the blood explosion ball. There are actually two soul forces inside. Ningyu stared at the blood explosion ball with a grave expression. The first owner of the blood explosion ball was a third-grade human supreme martial artist, Venerable Blood Destruction. Therefore, it was understandable that the blood explosion ball contained Venerable Blood Extermination's soul power. The second owner of the blood explosion ball was the Bone Demon. Although the Dark Emperor and the others had cut off the connection between the Bone Demon and the blood explosion ball, the Bone Demon had already left his soul force in the blood explosion ball. Bone Devil's soul force is easy to deal with. After all, he has already been killed, but Venerable Blood Slayer's soul force is a big problem. Generally speaking, after the physical body died, the soul power would continue to exist for a period of time. The strength of Bone Devil's soul force was only at the peak of grade 7. Ningyu could easily devour it. However, the strength of Venerable Blood Slayer's soul power was very strong, reaching the middle stage of level 8. The strength of a middle stage rank 8 soul force, coupled with the fact that the Blood Slayer Venerable was still alive, caused Ningyu to feel very troubled. Forget it, let's go in first. Suddenly, Ningyu clenched his teeth and released all of his soul force into the blood explosion ball. The blood explosion ball was a great defensive treasure. Naturally, Ningyu would not choose to give it up. Hee, Ningyu, this is the inside of the blood explosion ball. I am the strongest inside. After Ningyu's soul force entered the blood explosion ball, a cold laughter was suddenly heard. Looking at the black soul force floating in front of him, Ningyu said coldly, "Venerable Blood Slayer, although you are the first owner of the Blood Explosion Ball, your physical body is very far away from here. How are you going to compete with me?" "Kid, although Venerable Blood Slayer can't compete with you, what if I join in?" As soon as Ningyu finished his words, a white soul force appeared beside Venerable Blood Slayer. Bone Demon. The white soul force was the only soul force left by Bone Demon in this world. As long as Bone Demon's soul force was destroyed, it would mean that Bone Demon would completely disappear from this world. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Bone Demon, you are very smart." Venerable Blood Slayer's lips curled up and said faintly, "Humph, I am not helping you." Although he had helped Venerable Blood Slayer, Bone Demon would not admit it. As long as you are happy." Venerable Blood Slayer did not mind and laughed. "Do you think that you have me?" At this moment Ningyu calmed down. Ningyu knew that the more dangerous the situation was, the calmer he had to be. "Of course," Bone Demon and Venerable Blood Slayer said proudly. "Alright, I choose to give up fighting for the Blood Explosion Ball and give it to you." Ningyu shrugged and immediately retreated to the other side. His eyeballs rolled and no one knew what Ningyu was thinking about. Give up on the Blood Explosion Ball? Bone Demon and Venerable Blood Slayer looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's soul force. The Blood Explosion Ball was a treasure. How could Ningyu choose to give it up? "You guys do whatever you want. I will just watch. I will not interfere with your friendship." Ningyu raised his right hand, slightly waved it, and said, "Swoosh, swoosh." Ningyu's words instantly made Bone Demon and Venerable Blood Slayer take a few steps back. Their common enemy was Ningyu and there was no romantic relationship between them. "Bone Demon, we cannot let Ningyu sow discord. We have to fight the enemy together." Venerable Blood Slayer was indeed a scheming person. 3 seconds later, he said in a deep voice. Bone Demon also seemed to know that he had been fooled by Ningyu. He bellowed and said, "Go! Even if we have to detonate the Blood Explosion Ball, we cannot let this brat succeed." Detonate the Blood Explosion Ball. Looking at the 2 balls of soul force that were approaching him, Ningyu's lips curled up and he said coldly, "Too late." As he said the last word, a cold gleam suddenly penetrated into the Blood Explosion Ball. A sapling that grew from the branch of the World Tree. The reason why Ningyu had retreated just now was to buy time, so that he could communicate with the sapling. Some time ago, the sapling had begun its hibernation period. Ningyu even decided that if the sapling could not fight, he would give up on the Blood Explosion Ball. Fortunately, the sapling did not drop the ball at the crucial moment. The news that the sapling had sent back was that it could help Ningyu this time, but only this time. If he wanted to get the sapling's help again, he would have to exchange a large amount of energy. "Go!" Ningyu pointed at Venerable Blood Slayer and Bone Demon's soul force and shouted, "Chi-chi!" As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, the sapling turned into an afterimage and flew out. Not only was the sapling fast, but its devouring ability was also top-notch. The first thing that was devoured by the sapling was Bone Demon's soul force. After 0.01 seconds, Bone Demon's soul force was devoured by the sapling. The next thing that was devoured was Venerable Blood Slayer's soul force. A second later, Venerable Blood Slayer's soul force was also devoured. At the same time, at the border between the outer and inner regions of the Beast King Palace, in front of the Yellow Level Palace, a martial artist suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, his face extremely pale. "Venerable Blood Slayer, are you alright?" A young martial artist beside the martial artist asked hurriedly. "I'm fine," Venerable Blood Slayer said as he wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth. "Venerable, should we try to enter the inner region?" Xue Wuming stared at the Yellow Level Palace in front of him and frowned. After a period of flying, Xue Wuming and Venerable Blood Slayer finally arrived in front of the Yellow Level Palace. Chapter 942. Three-Headed Snake Whoosh. Beast King Palace, Outer Area, Hub Hall. Ningyu looked at the blood explosion orb floating in front of him with joy in his eyes. Having a blood explosion orb meant that he had a powerful trump card. Ningyu made a grabbing motion with his right hand and kept the blood explosion ball. Let's continue. After keeping the blood explosion orb, Ningyu waved his hand at the Dark Emperor and the others beside him. Ningyu, are you really going to the inner area of the Beast King's palace? The metal-devouring demon lion's face darkened. Bone Devil had just said that the inner area of the Beast King Palace was guarded by powerful demonic beasts. Among those powerful demonic beasts, the lowest cultivation level was at least mid-8th order. A mid-8th order demonic beast was equivalent to a 4th grade human sovereign. In the Heaven grade region, there was even an Earthshaker, which was equivalent to a 5th grade human sovereign. When the Earthshaker is enraged, blood flows like a river. The metal-devouring demon lion was only a peak 2nd grade human sovereign. Not to mention the Earthshaker, it couldn't even contend against the mid-8th grade demonic beast, the three-headed serpent. Of course it's true. Ningyu stopped and said to the metal-devouring demon lion, "If you don't want to go, you can leave. I won't force you." After all, the metal-devouring demon lion was not under his control. Ningyu could not allow it to continue following him. Therefore, Ningyu gave the metal-devouring demon lion a choice. If it wanted to follow, he would welcome it at any time. If it wanted to leave, he would not force it. The gold-devouring demon lion's face darkened as it weighed the pros and cons. What's there to be afraid of? Since we're here, we'll just take things as they come. There's no reason for us to leave. Seeing the metal-devouring demon lion's appearance, the Dark Emperor curled his lips and said, "Our cultivation hasn't even reached the sovereign realm. Even we aren't afraid, so what are you afraid of?" "Humph. Let's go, who's afraid of who?" Originally, the gold-devouring demon lion didn't want to go to the inner region. However, when he heard the Dark Emperor's mocking words, he was instantly enraged. "Since everyone has reached an agreement, I have a few points to emphasize." Ningyu looked around and said, "First, Lightning Wolf King, Li Fire Divine Eagle, Qin Xiang, and Lu Wei, you must enter the storage ring. Secondly, Gold-Devouring Demon Lion, Dark Emperor, you can follow by my side, but if you encounter anything, you can't act on your own. You have to get my permission first. Thirdly, and also the most important point." At this point, Ningyu paused for a moment. Then, he unleashed his aura and said coldly, "If anyone dares to speak of the fact that a storage ring can store a person, don't blame me for being impolite. Don't worry, I'm sure no one will dare to tell others." The Dark Emperor shrugged and said. The Dark Emperor knew that Ningyu was referring to the gold-devouring demon lion, so when he spoke, he couldn't help but glance at the gold-devouring demon lion. "Humph." The metal-devouring demon lion knew that it was weak. It turned its head and snorted coldly. Although the metal-devouring demon lion looked disdainful on the surface, he sucked in a breath of cold air. That was close. The metal-devouring demon lion was not a fool. He was very glad that he didn't choose to leave just now. Although Ningyu had asked him to leave, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that once he left, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ningyu would never allow someone who knew the secret of the storage ring to leave. Since no one has any objections, then, seeing that the metal-devouring demon lion had no objections, Ningyu stomped on the ground and was about to leave. However, before Ningyu had taken a few steps, he thought of something. Little Flying Python. He had been so focused on fighting the Bone Demon and the Crimson Bat King that he didn't have time to pay attention to the Little Flying Python. After knowing that he had been tricked by the six-winged flying python, Ningyu decided to find the six-winged flying python and settle the score with him. The little flying python was the medium through which Ningyu and the six-winged flying python communicated. Naturally, Ningyu wouldn't forget about them. "Dark Emperor, go and see if the little flying python is dead." Ningyu shifted his gaze and saw the 4 little flying pythons in the hub hall. Understood. The Dark Emperor responded, and then his figure flashed as he flew towards the Great Hall of Hub. A while later, the Dark Emperor returned with the 4 little flying pythons. They're smart to know that they hid in the hub hall during the battle. They're only slightly injured, nothing serious. The Dark Emperor pointed at the 4 little flying pythons and said, "Very well, bring them along." Ningyu waved his hand, and then his figure flashed as he left first. Behind Ningyu, the metal-devouring demon lion and the Dark Emperor brought 2 little flying pythons each and disappeared together with Ningyu. The outer area of the Beast King Hall was divided into 4 parts: north, south, east, and west. Among them, the northern part was connected to the inner area of the Beast King Hall. In other words, the northern part of the outer area was next to the Yellow Level Hall in the inner area. Meanwhile, in front of the Yellow Level Hall, whoosh! A few figures tore through the void and appeared. There's been a huge battle here. The cultivators that suddenly appeared were none other than Ningyu and the others. Ningyu's expression turned grave as he said in a deep voice, "The 2 sides were at least prime realm cultivators. It's the Spirit Cauldrons group." The Dark Emperor had a keen sense of smell. He sniffed and knew that one side of the battle was the Spirit Cauldrons group. "That's right." Ningyu nodded in agreement. The Bone Demon said that the hunters in the Yellow Level area are 3-headed snake. What should we do if the 3-headed snake appears? The metal-devouring demon lion frowned slightly and said, "Creak." As soon as the metal-devouring demon lion said that, the Yellow Level Hall opened slowly. Then, a 3-headed snake-like demonic beast crawled out. 3-headed snake. Looking at the demonic beast that suddenly appeared, Ningyu said in a deep voice. But soon, Ningyu revealed a doubtful expression. That was because the 3-headed snake was not in its peak state. All 3 of his snake heads were injured to varying degrees. Who injured the 3-headed snake? Could it be the Spirit Cauldrons group? Ningyu frowned and said doubtfully. The 3-headed snake was a mid-stage 8th-rank demonic beast, and its strength was equivalent to a 4th-grade human sovereign. The Spirit Cauldrons group was already seriously injured. Logically speaking, there was no way they could injure the 3-headed snake. "Humans, I know you want to enter the Yellow Level Hall." At this moment, the 3-headed snake opened its middle head and said, "As long as you can defeat me, you can enter the Yellow Level Hall. Otherwise, I will eat you." "Big brother, why are you talking nonsense with them? We haven't tasted human flesh for a long time. In my opinion, we should hurry up and slaughter these fat lambs." The snake head on the left shook and said sinisterly, "That's right. We suffered a great loss last time. If we do things according to the rules this time, we might die." The snake head on the right said, "Besides, the core area of the Beast King Hall is in chaos. It is unknown whether the Beast King can survive. We have to think for ourselves." The snake head in the middle had a gloomy expression. No one knew what it was thinking. "All right, kill them and replenish energy." Chapter 943 / 3-headed snake, you're no longer at your peak state. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for you to kill us, right? From the words of the snake head on the right, Ningyu could tell that it was the Venerable of Spirit Cauldron and the others who had just entered the Yellow Level Hall. If he were to fight the 3-headed snake head-on now, even if he could enter the Yellow Level Hall, he might consume too much energy. Wouldn't it be very dangerous if he were to encounter the Venerable of Spirit Cauldron and the others in the Yellow Level Hall? A skinny camel was still bigger than a horse. Although the 3-headed snake was injured, Ningyu would have to use the blood explosion ball to kill it. After all, the 3-headed snake had 3 lives and was extremely powerful. "Kid, you're only at the late stage of the manifestation realm. How dare you speak so arrogantly?" The snake head in the middle stuck out its tongue and said, "I only need to use 10% of my strength to kill a martial artist like you." 10% of your strength? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Ningyu curled his lips and said disdainfully. As matters stood, Ningyu already knew that he could no longer communicate with the three-headed snake. The three-headed snake had already made up its mind to be enemies with him, so he might as well go with the flow. If the three-headed snake only used 10% of its strength, then he would let the three-headed snake know what cruelty was. Kid, are you thinking, this three-headed snake is really stupid to want to fight me with 10% of his strength? The three-headed snake seemed to have guessed what Ningyu was thinking and said sinisterly, even a lion uses its full strength to catch a rabbit, let alone a cunning human like you. The moment the word go fell, the three-headed snake instantly shot out and rushed toward Ningyu at an extremely shocking speed. Chi-chi! The three-headed snake was so fast that its body even made a hissing sound as it rubbed against the air. Not good. Sensing the terrifying yuan qi fluctuations emitted by the three-headed snake, Ningyu's expression changed drastically and he hurriedly retreated. Originally, Ningyu thought that the three-headed snake had suffered a serious injury and its strength would definitely drop a lot. But now, Ningyu finally knew that he was wrong, and he was ridiculously wrong. The three-headed serpent had indeed suffered heavy injuries, but its strength hadn't decreased too much. It still had 80% of its peak battle prowess. Solitaire. Ningyu was not a hothead. As he retreated, he waved the red demon sword and slashed out an astonishing sword wave. Voila! A huge sword wave appeared in the air. What? However, the three-headed serpent's subsequent actions caused Ningyu's heart to sink to rock bottom. The middle head of the three-headed snake suddenly opened and swallowed Solitaire in front of Ningyu. Gulp! After chewing for a while, the three-headed snake stuck out its tongue and licked the corner of its mouth, saying, "Delicious. Even though it's not as good as human meat, it's still pretty good. Damn it. Dark Emperor, gold-devouring demon lion, think of a way to enter the yellow-level palace first. Leave the three-headed snake to me." At the critical moment, Ningyu cursed inwardly and roared at the Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion. Be careful. The Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion knew that their strength was limited. If they stayed, they would only be a burden to Ningyu. They responded and forcefully tore through the void, charging toward the yellow-level palace. You want to enter the yellow-level palace? Not so easy. Seeing the Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion disappear, the three-headed snake swung its tail and created a gust of wind. The gust of wind was extremely powerful. Even though the Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion defended with all their might, they were still blasted out of the void. Both of them spat out a mouthful of blood, and their auras dropped significantly. Even though they were injured by the three-headed snake, the Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion both fell in front of the yellow-level palace. As long as they could stand up, they would be able to enter the yellow-level palace. Die. How could the three-headed snake allow such a delicious meal to leave its mouth? With a twist of its body, it disappeared into the void. 3 lives palm. Seeing the three-headed snake disappear, Ningyu hurriedly formed a hand seal and blasted out a huge blood-colored palm print. Rumble! The palm print fanned toward the void. Bang! In the next moment, a crisp sound rang out. The three-headed serpent was forcibly thrown out of the void. The Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion's mouths were wide open, their faces filled with disbelief. Since when did Ningyu's strength become so powerful? What are you waiting for? Hurry up and enter the yellow-level palace. Don't cause trouble for me here. Seeing the Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion staring blankly, Ningyu was immediately infuriated. I'm defending against the three-headed snake with all my might, but you two aren't making use of the time to enter the yellow-level palace. Alright, we'll leave now. The Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion were experienced demonic beasts. After being berated by Ningyu, they immediately reacted and flew into the yellow-level palace. Swish! As soon as the Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion entered the Yellow Level Palace, Ningyu tore through the void and appeared in front of the Yellow Level Palace. Wielding the red demon sword, Ningyu's eyes were gloomy. The three-headed snake had been forced back by his 3 lives palm because it was careless. If it wasn't for the three-headed snake's carelessness, how could Ningyu have forced it back? It was obvious that this kind of carelessness would only happen once, not twice. Therefore, Ningyu's eyes darted around, thinking of a countermeasure. I'm going to swallow you alive. Due to carelessness, the three-headed snake had missed 2 delicious demonic beasts. The consequences of a mid-stage 8th-order demonic beast's anger were dire. After a moment of rage, the three-headed snake's body transformed, and its body suddenly grew several times larger. The 3 huge snake heads floated in midair, flicking their tongues before retracting back into their stomach. Swallowing a living person alive. This is my first time doing it. Just thinking about it makes me a little excited. The three-headed snake said sinisterly. Then, it opened its mouth, and a terrifying devouring force surged out. Not good. The devouring force released by the three-headed snake was very strong. It was so strong that Ningyu approached the three-headed snake step by step. Bang! To prevent himself from being swallowed by the three-headed snake, Ningyu stabbed the red demon sword into the ground, trying to stabilize his body. Ningyu might have thought too much. The red demon sword left a crack in the ground, but Ningyu's body was still slowly approaching the three-headed snake. Just as he was about to reach the three-headed snake, Ningyu finally couldn't take it anymore. His body flew straight towards the three-headed snake's huge mouth. Ha ha! Seeing Ningyu flying towards it, the three-headed snake's leftmost head laughed maniacally. Crack! As it turned out, it wasn't just humans who couldn't be too complacent. Even snakes couldn't be too complacent. At this critical moment, Ningyu used all his strength to swing the red demon sword, slashing at the three-headed snake's leftmost head. A crisp sound rang out. A huge snake head fell to the ground, moving a few meters before coming to a stop. I'm going to grind your bones to dust. Chapter 944. Chapter 944. Evil Wind Formation. If Ningyu's 3 lives palm could be said to be due to the snake's carelessness, now that one of its heads had been chopped off, it was a huge mistake. The three-headed snake had 3 heads and was said to have 3 lives. According to rumors, even if one of its heads was chopped off, the snake's battle prowess would not decrease much. However, the snake knew very well that those were just rumors and could not be trusted. Each head represented 30% of its strength. Now that one of its heads had been chopped off, the snake had lost 30% of its battle prowess. In addition, the snake was heavily injured, so it only had about 50% of its battle prowess left. Swish! After a moment of rage, the snake's body disappeared once more. This time, the snake was on guard. It attacked with all its might, using every ounce of strength it had. Bang bang bang! The three-headed snake attacked with all its might, but Ningyu suffered a lot. After all, the snake still had about 50% of its battle prowess. Whether it was intentional or not, Ningyu was struck by the snake's tail one after another. The snake did not want to kill Ningyu so early. It wanted to slowly torture Ningyu, torturing Ningyu to death. You'll all be crying later. Ningyu endured the excruciating pain as he took out the blood explosion orb and hid it in his sleeve. The blood explosion ball might not be able to kill the snake at its peak, but Ningyu was confident that he could kill it now that it only had 50% of its battle prowess left. Endure. Bitterness followed by sweetness. Ningyu's conviction remained firm. After whipping for more than 10 minutes, the snake wrapped its tail around Ningyu's waist and brought Ningyu in front of it. Kid, aren't you showing off? Aren't you very powerful? Jump again for me. The snake's middle head said sinisterly. Big brother, in my opinion, we should kill this kid first to avoid any unforeseen events. The snake head on the right was more thoughtful. The scene of the left head being chopped off not long ago was still vivid in his mind. What are you afraid of? This brat's flying sword has fallen to the ground, and his body is under my control. I don't believe that he can eat me with his mouth. The snake head in the middle did not take the words of the snake head on the right to heart. But the snake head on the right wanted to say something but was interrupted by the snake head in the middle. No buts, watch me slowly strangle him to death. As he spoke, the snake head in the middle slightly increased its strength. Caw-caw. It was a very painful thing to be entangled by a snake. As the three-headed serpent increased its strength, cracking sounds rang out from Ning Yu's body. It was obvious that if this continued, Ning Yu's ribs would definitely break. Closer, a little closer. Ning Yu didn't care about the tearing sensation coming from all over his body. He kept chanting. At the same time, the blood explosion orb in Ning Yu's sleeve quietly flowed into his palm. In the blink of an eye, 3 minutes had passed. Ning Yu was still waiting. In these 3 minutes, Ning Yu had endured immense pain. The pain was indescribable with words. At that moment, beads of sweat appeared on Ning Yu's forehead. In 5 more minutes I'll kill him. The snake head in the middle seemed to enjoy the feeling of squeezing Ning Yu as it said proudly. The thought of tasting human flesh later makes me a little excited, the snake head on the right said sinisterly. This is the moment. Hearing the conversation between the two snake heads, Ning Yu suddenly flipped his palm. The blood explosion orb faced downwards, and he used all his strength to slap the three-headed serpent's body. Ah! The intense pain caused by the blood explosion orb made the three-headed serpent let go of Ning Yu instantly. Let's go! Ning Yu seized this rare opportunity and immediately used a secret technique. He tore through the void and charged toward the Yellow Level Palace. Not good, explode. Before he even entered the Yellow Level Palace, Ning Yu's expression changed drastically. Without any time to think, Ning Yu immediately detonated the blood explosion orb. Rumble! A deafening sound rang out. Following the explosion of the blood explosion orb, the three-headed serpent also exploded. A terrifying shockwave rushed toward Ning Yu without any restraint. Seeing the terrifying shockwave, Ning Yu grabbed the red demon sword and entered the Yellow Level Palace in the blink of an eye. Creak! The shockwave blasted the door of the Yellow Level Palace and even caused the door to tremble. Whoosh! Inside the Yellow Level Palace, Ning Yu slumped onto the ground. Fortunately, the three-headed serpent was too stupid. Otherwise, it would not have been able to escape today. So stupid. No wonder the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and the others could enter the Yellow Level Palace. Ning Yu muttered as he circulated a technique to recover. About half an hour later, Ning Yu slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He had finally recovered to his peak state. That's right. Where are the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion? After recovering to his peak state, Ning Yu looked around but did not see the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion. Although he did not see the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion, Ning Yu found a narrow passageway not far away. There's only one passageway? Ning Yu opened his mouth in disbelief. Before entering the Yellow Level Palace, Ning Yu thought that the Yellow Level Palace would be huge and complicated. After entering the Yellow Level Palace, the situation inside disappointed Ning Yu a little. Forget it, I'd better go look for the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion. Ning Yu shook his head, calmed his thoughts, and walked straight into the passageway. Hee, Ning Yu, the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion are in our hands. If you want to save their lives, come to the 10th room in the passageway. However, as soon as Ning Yu stepped into the passageway, he heard a familiar voice. The Spirit Cauldron Venerable. Hearing the familiar voice, Ning Yu's expression instantly turned gloomy. No wonder he did not see the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion. It turned out that they had already been captured by the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and the others. Ning Yu, don't think about playing any tricks. If you dare to, I guarantee that I'll kill the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion. The spirit cauldron venerable's voice sounded again. Now, just do as I say and enter the passageway. There's a room 10 meters away. Open the door and enter. Ningyu did not respond and entered the passageway according to the spirit cauldron venerable's instructions. 10 seconds later, Ningyu arrived in front of the first room. On the door there were 4 big words. Wind Array Door. Seeing the 4 big words, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. The Wind Array was an extremely terrifying array. The wind inside was as sharp as a knife. Not to mention that Ningyu was only at the advanced stage of the manifestation state. Even if Ningyu had the cultivation of the supremacy state, it would be difficult for him to resist the power of the Wind Array. Phantom armor. Since things had come to this, Ningyu had no choice but to wear the broken phantom armor on his body. The phantom armor had already cracked when it resisted the explosion of the Bone Devil and the Crimson Bat King. As for whether it could resist the Wind Array, Ningyu was not absolutely sure. Chapter 945. Great Recovery Pill. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As soon as Ningyu stepped into the room, 3 gusts of wind attacked him. How could Ningyu allow the gusts to hit him? Ningyu stomped on the ground and his body shot out. As a Sky Supreme in his previous life, Ningyu had come into contact with the Wind Array and knew that it had an obvious characteristic. The gusts of wind within the Wind Array came in waves. As long as one's perception was strong enough, one could stay in the Wind Array for a long time without wearing any armor. Activating the Wind Array required a huge amount of energy. Therefore, Ningyu guessed that the Wind Array in this room could not be activated for a long time. Bang! However, after Ningyu's body flew out, the door suddenly closed. Damn it! The closing of the door meant that Ningyu had to hold on until the Wind Array ran out of energy. Who knew how much energy was behind the Wind Array? If it was a lot, wouldn't Ningyu die? Whoosh! However, Ningyu suffered a little when he was distracted. A gust of wind passed by him and cut a wound on his skin. If he had not dodged in time, he would have been seriously injured. Drip, drip. Even so, fresh blood dripped from Ningyu's skin. At this moment, Ningyu could not care about his wound. He used his perception and carefully dodged the gust of wind. Rumble! Just when Ningyu was focused on dodging the gust of wind, a terrifying rumble came from under his feet. Ding! Then, a crisp sound rang out and the terrifying Wind Array suddenly stopped. The sudden change made Ningyu's mouth slightly open. His face was filled with disbelief. What's going on? Ningyu would never have thought that the wind formation would actually stop operating. Crack! Crack! At this moment, a cracking sound came from the ground. Ningyu hurriedly jumped to the other side. After about a minute, a cylindrical platform appeared in Ningyu's vision. Looking at the cylindrical platform that was as thick as a person's waist, Ningyu's eyes widened in shock. How could there be a high platform in the wind formation? Moreover, it had risen from the ground. Could it be that the blood triggered the restriction underground? Ningyu thought of a possibility. Just now, his skin was accidentally cut by the strong wind, and a few drops of blood dripped onto the ground. From then on, the cylindrical platform appeared. Golden box. Ningyu's gaze shifted and finally landed on the golden box at the top of the round table. The golden box was about the size of a fist. Most importantly, the golden box had been opened. My blood is that powerful? It can even open the golden box, or in other words, as long as it's blood, it can open the golden box? Ningyu thought for a moment and finally waved his right hand. A wisp of vital energy flew out and dragged the golden box in front of him. Crack, crack, crack. Ningyu took down the golden box with one foot and the cylindrical platform slowly retreated into the ground with the back of his foot. Great recovery pill. Ningyu did not care at all that the cylindrical platform had retreated underground. At this moment, Ning Yu's eyes were fixed on the white elixir in the golden box, and his face was burning. Great Recovery Pill. A pinnacle 8th grade elixir. However, the effect of a supreme Great Recovery Pill was even stronger than some 9th grade elixirs. The white elixir in the golden box was a supreme Great Recovery Pill. As long as I refine this supreme Great Recovery Pill, I have an 80% chance of advancing to the pinnacle of the manifestation realm. Ning Yu's face was gloomy. Refining the Great Recovery Pill required time, at least an hour. In other words, within this hour, Ning Yu could not be disturbed in any way. Otherwise, all his efforts would be in vain. Ning Yu rolled his eyes and decided to test it. Spirit Cauldron the Venerable, what are you doing? Hurry up and open the door. I want to go out. Ning Yu roared. Go out? Enjoy the joy brought by the wind array. The door will open by itself in an hour, and you can come out then. The Spirit Cauldron the Venerable's cold voice sounded. Of course, the premise is that you can come out alive. Ha ha, good chance. After getting the Spirit Cauldron the Venerable's reply, Ning Yu's lips curled up slightly, and a smile appeared on his face. Ning Yu needed an hour to refine the Great Recovery Pill, and the Spirit Cauldron the Venerable said that the door would open by itself in an hour. The time in between was just enough for Ning Yu to refine the Great Recovery Pill. To be on the safe side, Ning Yu still set up a small array formation at the door. He then sat down cross-legged, opened his mouth, and swallowed the Great Recovery Pill. Hiss! As soon as the Great Recovery Pill entered his mouth, Ning Yu wanted to spit it out. Hot, it was too damn hot. Moreover, the heat of the Great Recovery Pill was not ordinary heat, but extremely, extremely hot. As expected of a pinnacle grade 8 elixir. Ning Yu clenched his teeth and forcefully swallowed the Great Recovery Pill into his stomach. Generally speaking, a terrifying elixir like the Great Recovery Pill could only be controlled by a supremacy realm martial artist. If it wasn't for the increasing danger ahead, Ning Yu wouldn't take the risk to refine the Great Recovery Pill. Suppress it! Ning Yu bellowed and controlled the soul force in his body to surge towards the Great Recovery Pill, wanting to refine it. Swish! While Ning Yu was slowly refining the Great Recovery Pill. At the end of the yellow level hall, in the 10th room. I didn't expect you to be a purple gold sky devouring hound. You really hid it from us. The Spirit Cauldron the Venerable stared at the Dark Emperor, who had transformed into his true form, and said sinisterly, Purple gold sky devouring hound, the Emperor of the Sky Devouring Hound clan. Hee, leave this black dog to me. I guarantee that I can tame it. The Blood Destruction Venerable laughed sinisterly. Our corpse sect has a secret technique that can completely refine a purple gold sky devouring hound. The evil dragon Venerable snorted and took out his cauldron. Coincidentally, I brought my cauldron with me. Protect me, I can refine quite a few elixirs. Using a sky devouring hound to refine elixirs. The Blood Destruction Venerable and the Spirit Cauldron the Venerable were puzzled. That's right. Elixirs refined from a sky-devouring hound are very effective. However, this sky-devouring hound's cultivation is a bit low, so the elixirs refined from it can't increase our cultivation by much. It can only increase our strength by about 10%, the evil dragon Venerable said proudly. What? About 10% of strength? The Blood Destruction Venerable and the others' expressions changed greatly. They had to obtain elixirs that could increase their strength by 10% even if they had to risk their lives. The two of you protect me. No matter what, don't let me be disturbed. The evil dragon Venerable's lips curled up unnaturally. Aunt Yun, at the corner of the room, Yun Mu said. Don't say anything and don't do anything. Let them refine elixirs. We'll stay out of this. The talisman Venerable interrupted Yun Mu. Can we really stay out of this? Chapter 946. Refining. How confident are you in refining elixirs with heaven-devouring hounds? Inside the room, the venerable spirit cauldron and the venerable blood slayer did not blindly choose to believe the venerable evil dragon. Be it the venerable spirit cauldron or the venerable blood slayer, they were both alchemists of high levels. They had never heard of refining elixirs with heaven-devouring hound. I'm not very confident, only 30% to 40%. The venerable evil dragon shrugged. All right, we'll protect you. I hope you won't disappoint us. The venerable spirit cauldron and the venerable blood slayer pondered for a moment before they flew out of the room and stood on either side of the door. Although the venerable spirit cauldron and the venerable blood slayer had left the room, they still kept an eye out. In Hua, Shui Wuming, the two geniuses from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple and the Blood God Palace were cultivating in the room while paying close attention to the venerable evil dragon. If the venerable evil dragon dared to play any tricks, they would immediately spread the news. There might be some misunderstanding between us. Looking at the venerable evil dragon who was approaching him, the Dark Emperor rolled his eyes and said, "What can't we talk about? You want to talk about it with me?" The venerable evil dragon stopped in his tracks and took out a flying sword from his pocket. Licking the flying sword with his tongue, the evil dragon lord said darkly, "I will fulfill your wish. This knife has already cut through 999 demon beasts' chests, and you are the 1000th. Break, it's fine. You're going to put me in the cauldron to refine me anyway. Even if I die, I'll be spared a lot of pain." The Dark Emperor let out a mouthful of turbid air and looked like he was relieved. "Oh, you're quite open-minded." Hearing the Dark Emperor's cheerful words, the venerable evil dragon was stunned for a moment before he said, "Since you're in such a cheerful mood, I'll make you happy." With that, the venerable evil dragon flicked his wrist and threw the cauldron into the air. Rumble! As soon as the cauldron flew into the air, it suddenly enlarged several times. "Get in!" The venerable evil dragon grabbed the Dark Emperor and threw him into the cauldron. "You should go in too." After some thought, the evil dragon venerable grabbed the metal-devouring demon lion and threw it into the cauldron. After doing all this, the evil dragon venerable sat cross-legged under the cauldron and formed a series of hand seals. In an instant, a blazing flame appeared on the evil dragon venerable's wrist. It suddenly leaped up and began to burn the cauldron. Enjoy it. After an hour, you will all be refined into pus. The corner of the evil dragon venerable's mouth rose as he said sinisterly, "Poochie! Poochie!" Inside the pill furnace, as the temperature rose, the Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion spat out a large mouthful of dark red blood. "Damn it, we're in big trouble this time." The Dark Emperor wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said fiercely, "Don't let me out, otherwise I will skin you alive, pull out your tendons, dig out your heart. Can you just cut it out? We're about to be refined, yet you're still spouting nonsense." The gold-devouring demon lion didn't like the Dark Emperor. At a time like this, he was still talking nonsense. He was about to be refined, but instead of running away, he said that he was in deep trouble. It was simply arrogant to the extreme. Rolling his eyes at the gold-devouring demon lion, the Dark Emperor said, "The heaven-devouring hound clan is not something that low-level beasts like you can compare to. Watch out." In the next moment, the Dark Emperor opened his mouth and spat out a faint purple ball of light. Wung. The faint purple ball of light first circled in midair, and then enveloped the Dark Emperor. Chi. The scorching heat roasted the purple ball of light, making a sizzling sound. Then, it shot towards the gold-devouring demon lion. "I'm going to burn it!" Seeing this, the gold-devouring demon lion couldn't help but curse. "What is this thing? Hurry up and give me some too. I'm about to become a roasted lion." "No way. You're so big. If I give you some of the purple ball of light, what am I going to do?" The Dark Emperor turned his head away and ignored the gold-devouring demon lion. Resisting the intense heat, the gold-devouring demon lion said hurriedly, As long as you give me some purple ball of light, I can swear a heavenly oath to obey your orders from now on. The gold-devouring demon lion was not like the Dark Emperor. In the purple ball of light, the Dark Emperor could last at least an hour without any problems. However, the gold-devouring demon lion couldn't even last 10 minutes. Becoming a roasted lion was already a good thing, but the gold-devouring demon lion might be burnt to a crisp. That's a good idea. I happen to be lacking a follower. The Dark Emperor's heart jumped, but on the surface, he said reluctantly, "All right, swear a heavenly oath first." The gold-devouring demon lion didn't dare to delay, and quickly swore a heavenly oath. Swoosh! The Dark Emperor didn't go back on his words. He opened his mouth and spat out another purple ball of light. Chi-chi! The purple ball of light forced the heat wave around the gold-devouring demon lion away and enveloped the gold-devouring demon lion. Being enveloped by the purple ball of light, the gold-devouring demon lion revealed a relieved expression. To be honest, during that period of time, he was really going to become a roasted lion. Bang! While the evil dragon sovereign was refining the Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion with all his might, in the first room of the Yellow Level Palace. Feeling the dull sound coming from his sea of consciousness, Ningyu slowly let out a turbid breath. His face was burning with passion. Peak of the manifestation realm. Originally, Ningyu thought that he would need at least an hour to completely refine the Great Restore Pill. Who would have thought that he would be able to completely refine the Great Restore Pill in just half an hour? The medicinal effects of the Great Restore Pill were very domineering. It directly sent Ningyu to the peak of the manifestation realm. In fact, if not for Ningyu suppressing the restless essence qi in his sea of consciousness, he might have even advanced to the half-step supremacy realm. Phew! Slowly letting out a turbid breath, Ningyu suddenly stood up. Now that I've advanced to the peak of the manifestation realm, my overall strength has at least doubled. Ningyu was very confident in his own strength. When he was in the late stage of the manifestation realm, he could easily defeat a peak second-grade human supreme. Now that he had advanced to the peak of the manifestation realm, Ningyu wouldn't even have to fear a peak third-grade human supreme. Break! With a cold look in his eyes, Ningyu wielded the red demon sword and suddenly slashed at the door of the room. Crack! The power of Ningyu's sword was extremely powerful. The sealed door was slashed in half by his sword. Not good! Just as Ningyu slashed the door open, Venerable Spirit Cauldron's expression changed, and he said in a deep voice, "What's going on?" Venerable Blood Slash asked in confusion. Venerable Spirit Cauldron closed his eyes and released his perception. After a while, Venerable Spirit Cauldron said in a deep voice, "It's Ningyu." Ningyu? Venerable Blood Slash was stunned for a moment and then asked in confusion, "Wasn't Ningyu trapped in the first room? How could he? Nothing is impossible." Before Venerable Blood Slash finished his words, a faint voice rang in his ears. "Russell!" Chapter 947. Kill. Ningyu. Venerable Blood Slayer's face instantly darkened as he looked at the familiar figure in front of him. Although Venerable Spirit Cauldron had been communicating with Ningyu ever since he entered the Yellow Level Hall, Venerable Blood Slayer also knew how terrifying the Chilling Wind Formation was. After all, they had also experienced the Chilling Wind Formation. At that time, all of them joined forces to resist the Chilling Wind Formation for an hour, allowing them to escape. Ningyu was only at the late stage of the manifestation realm. No, the peak of the manifestation realm. Venerable Blood Slayer's eyes widened and his face was filled with disbelief. Ningyu had actually advanced to the peak of the manifestation realm. Isn't this 2F** King terrifying? Playing tricks on me. Venerable Spirit Cauldron growled and immediately rose from the ground, charging directly at Ningyu. Ningyu had advanced to the peak of the manifestation realm, but in the eyes of Venerable Spirit Cauldron, it was nothing. How could a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm overturn the heavens? Life and death palm. Ningyu slightly bent his legs, formed a seal with his right hand and pushed his palm out. Bang! The two palms collided. A crisp sound was heard, and then the two figures retreated. Crack! Staring at Ningyu on the other side, Venerable Spirit Cauldron said coldly, I didn't expect you to advance to the peak of the manifestation realm and improve your strength so much. It's nothing much. Hand over the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion, and I can consider sparing your life. After stabilizing his body, Ningyu's face was expressionless as he said indifferently. Ningyu was not a fool. As he spoke to stall Venerable Spirit Cauldron and Venerable Blood Slayer, he quietly released his perception, wanting to enter the room to find the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion. However, as soon as Ningyu's perception approached the room, he gasped. At this time, Ningyu heard Venerable Spirit Cauldron's mocking voice. Just a few words of praise and you think you can ascend to the heavens? To tell you the truth, the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion are indeed in the room. Right now they should be about to be refined into pills by the evil dragon sovereign. Venerable Spirit Cauldron pouted and pointed at the door. Venerable Blood Slayer and I have set up a formation in this room. Not to mention you, even a fly can't escape. Noisy! Ningyu didn't want to listen to the Venerable Spirit Cauldron's nonsense. He let out a low growl and immediately poured the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness into the red demon sword, then slashed out a sword wave. Voila! A waist-thick sword wave peeled off from the red demon sword and rushed towards the Venerable Spirit Cauldron at an extremely terrifying speed. Insignificant skill. The corners of the Venerable Spirit Cauldron's mouth rose slightly. Then, he flicked his wrist and a cold light flew out of his sleeve. The speed of the cold light was not slow either. In the blink of an eye, it collided with the sword wave. What happened next was clearly beyond the Venerable Spirit Cauldron's expectations. He had no choice but to re-evaluate Ningyu. The cold light that he threw out did not even last for a second before it was blasted away. Then, Solitaire cut through the void and appeared beside him. Whoosh! Fortunately, the Venerable Spirit Cauldron dodged in time. Only the corner of his clothes was cut. Otherwise, Ningyu's sword wave alone would have been enough to make the Venerable Spirit Cauldron suffer. Ningyu, is that you? If it's you, hurry up and save me. I'm about to become a roasted emperor. Just as Ningyu was about to attack again, the Dark Emperor's voice sounded in his mind. Just now, when Ningyu was trapped in the Wind Array, the Dark Emperor had no way of contacting him. Now that Ningyu was outside the room, the Dark Emperor could naturally find a way to communicate with him. Hold on a little longer. I'm going to save you now. Originally, Ningyu wanted to have a good spar with the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the Venerable Blood Destruction. However, after hearing the Dark Emperor's anxious words, he could only give up for the time being and attack the array at the door. Anyway, there was no way to kill the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the Venerable Blood Destruction in a short period of time. It was more practical to save the Dark Emperor first. Solitaire. Holding the Red Fiend's sword, Ningyu slashed out dozens of sword waves. Triple birth palm. At the same time, Ningyu kept waving his hands and several palm prints swept out. It's actually so powerful. Seeing the sword waves and palm prints that were approaching them, the Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the Venerable Blood Destruction revealed a look of horror. Especially the Venerable Spirit Cauldron. He even felt that it was unrealistic. Compared to the Venerable Blood Destruction, he knew the terror of Solitaire the best. At this moment, the palm prints that Ningyu slapped out were clearly more powerful than Solitaire. This was a little awkward. Retreat. The Venerable Spirit Cauldron and the Venerable Blood Destruction thought of this word at the same time. Ningyu's strength had already increased to the point where he could compete with them. It was really unwise to go head-on with Ningyu at this time. If they were to suffer some injuries, wouldn't it benefit the venerable evil dragon? Crack! Just as the venerable spirit cauldron and the venerable blood destruction took a few steps back, Solitaire and the triple birth palm blasted on the door. The sound of the door shattering was heard. Following this sound was the sound of blood spurting out of his mouth. In the room, the venerable evil dragon spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his face became very pale. Venerable spirit cauldron, venerable blood destruction, what are you? The venerable evil dragon put the huge pill cauldron on the ground, stood up and roared. The venerable evil dragon's roar came to an abrupt stop halfway. Ningyu, seeing the young martial artist slowly walking into the room, the venerable evil dragon's face instantly turned gloomy, extremely gloomy. Swoosh! On the other side, Yin Hua and the others stood up uniformly, and their eyes all fell on Ningyu. Not only that, but they also released their aura and pressed towards Ningyu. Venerable evil dragon, let go of the Dark Emperor, and I can let bygones be bygones. Ningyu did not care about the aura of Yin Hua and the others at all. He approached the venerable evil dragon step by step, and said as he walked, "Ah!" After a short moment of shock, the venerable evil dragon raised his head and laughed wildly. "Are you talking to me? If you're not deaf, I'm indeed talking to you." Ningyu stopped when he was 1 zhang away from the venerable evil dragon. 1 zhang. This distance was neither too long nor too short, and it was just right. He could advance to attack and retreat to defend. I've already refined the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion into elixirs. You're too late. The venerable evil dragon did not attack Ningyu blindly. Even venerable blood extermination and venerable spirit cauldron could not stop Ningyu. If he acted rashly, he might meet with misfortune. Venerable spirit cauldron, venerable blood extermination, what the hell are you doing? The venerable evil dragon was very scheming. On the surface, he was talking to Ningyu, but he was secretly contacting venerable spirit cauldron and the others. Outside the room, venerable spirit cauldron and venerable blood extermination looked at each other and understood each other's intentions. They chose not to respond to the venerable evil dragon. Let Ningyu and the venerable evil dragon both suffer. This was what the venerable spirit cauldron and venerable blood extermination were thinking, and it was also the situation they were most happy to see. Yin Hua, pay attention to the situation inside. Contact us immediately if there's any movement. In order not to arouse the venerable evil dragon's suspicion, the venerable spirit cauldron and venerable blood extermination even returned to the entrance of the yellow level hall. Chapter 948. 1 versus 2-inch-old fart. Since when was I refined into an elixir? The Dark Emperor had been waiting for Ningyu's arrival. To be honest, the Dark Emperor still felt a little overwhelmed after being refined in the cauldron for more than half an hour, even though he was covered by the purple light. Shut up! The venerable evil dragon was already furious that he couldn't contact the venerable of blood destruction and the venerable of spirit cauldron. Now that he heard the Dark Emperor's words, he was even more furious. The venerable evil dragon was very terrifying in his rage. He shouted in a low voice, and then suddenly slapped his palm towards the pill furnace beside him. "If you dare to barge into my room, I'll send the Dark Emperor to hell." As the venerable evil dragon roared, his palm suddenly slapped the cauldron. Bang! A crisp sound rang out, and the venerable evil dragon was pushed back several meters before he could stabilize himself. After he stabilized himself, the venerable evil dragon stared at the cauldron that had a crack on it and said eerily, "Ningyu, your friends, the Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion, are probably dead now." Crack! As the venerable evil dragon said that, the crack on the cauldron became bigger and bigger. In the end, the cauldron completely shattered. When the cauldron shattered, 2 figures flew out quickly. Swoosh! Swoosh! What? Looking at the 2 figures that flew out, The venerable evil dragon was shocked. "They're still alive." The venerable evil dragon swallowed a mouthful of saliva and was dumbfounded. It was understandable that he couldn't completely refine the Dark Emperor and the gold-devouring demon lion after more than half an hour because he hadn't used his full strength. But now that the cauldron had shattered, it was a little unreasonable that they were still alive. "Why did you only come now? I was almost refined by this old fart." The Dark Emperor, who was beside Ningyu, curled his lips and said, "How much combat power do you have now?" Ningyu didn't have time to argue with the Dark Emperor. He had something important to do. If the Dark Emperor had combat power, he could stay. If not, it was more practical for him to enter the storage ring as soon as possible. About 80% of his combat power. The Dark Emperor knew that the solemn expression on Ningyu's face meant that something was about to happen, so he pondered for a moment and said. Ningyu then looked at the metal-devouring demon lion. 70%. The metal-devouring demon lion answered honestly. "Stand back a little." Ningyu waved his hand, signaling the Dark Emperor and the metal-devouring demon lion to take a few steps back. The evil dragon Venerable looked on coldly and did not stop Ningyu. He did not believe that Ningyu could play any tricks, because in the face of absolute strength, all schemes were useless. Cough cough. Unrelated people, you should leave the room as soon as possible. I will be fighting with the evil dragon sovereigns later. It would be inappropriate if I accidentally hurt you, Ningyu said in a clear voice. Hua. Ningyu's words caused Yin Hua and the others to be stunned. How could a person be so arrogant? Yin Hua, what's going on in the room? Just when Yin Hua was about to reprimand Ningyu, the Spirit Cauldron Venerable's voice rang in his ears. Yin Hua glared at Ningyu and told the Spirit Cauldron Venerable about what happened here. 1 second later, the Spirit Cauldron Venerable pondered for a second. A second later, the Spirit Cauldron Venerable said, "You and Shui Wuming come out first. Don't worry about the matter between the evil dragon sovereign and Ningyu." Hearing the Spirit Cauldron Venerable's reply, Yin Hua opened his mouth in confusion. What's going on with Ningyu? Why did the Spirit Cauldron Venerable ask him to go out? Does the Spirit Cauldron Venerable think that Ningyu can fight against the evil dragon sovereign? Shui Wuming, let's go. Just like the Spirit Cauldron Venerable, Yin Hua decided to leave after pondering for a second. Swish. After saying that, Yin Hua stomped his feet on the ground and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Shui Wuming seemed to have noticed something unusual about Ningyu. He followed behind Yin Hua and left the room. Are we leaving or not? At the corner, Yun Mu looked at the Spirit Cauldron Venerable and asked. The Spirit Cauldron Venerable's face was gloomy. No one knew what he was thinking. Let's go. After a while, the Spirit Cauldron Venerable grabbed Yun Mu and instantly tore the void to leave. At this point, besides the evil dragon sovereign, Sure Mo, and Zhu Zhen of the 9 Cauldron Divine Pavilion, everyone else had left the room. At first, Zhu Zhen wanted to leave, but he thought that Ningyu was only an ordinary manifestation realm martial artist and definitely wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. Therefore, he chose to stay. As for Sure Mo, he was a peerless genius of the corpse insect. Since the evil dragon sovereign stayed, he had no reason to leave. Very well. Since you don't want to leave, don't blame me if you get killed later. Ningyu's eyes glanced at Zhu Zhen as he said indifferently. Humph. Arrogant. Zhu Zhen coldly snorted. His body shot out, his right hand clenched into a fist, and he punched at Ningyu's chest. Courting death. Originally, Ningyu wanted to let Zhu Zhen live for a while longer, but since he was courting death, Ningyu decided to warm up before fighting with the evil dragon sovereign. With a thought, the red demon sword appeared in his hand. Ningyu took a step forward and slashed down from the sky. Whoosh! Although Zhu Zhen reacted in time, the red demon sword still slashed his chest, causing a bloody wound to appear. You really don't know what's good for you. After succeeding in one move, Ningyu rushed out again and slashed with his sword again. Swish! At this time, Shuremo of the corpse insect rose from the ground and came to help Zhu Zhen. 2 against 1. With the addition of Shuremo, the pressure on Zhu Zhen was significantly reduced, and he could even turn from defense to offense. You want to fight me with this little ability? In the distance, the evil dragon sovereign saw the fight between Ningyu and the others. The corner of his mouth curled up and he sinisterly said, "If Ningyu only had this little strength, the evil dragon sovereign could kill him at least 100 times, maybe even more." Is that so? The evil dragon sovereign's disdainful words resounded in his ears. The corner of Ningyu's lips also rose. In the next instant, Ningyu's figure suddenly disappeared. Not good. The moment Ningyu disappeared, Zhu Zhen and Shuremo sensed that something was amiss. However, their reaction was a little slow. In the blink of an eye, Ningyu appeared beside them. Poof! Poof! 2 consecutive stabs. Blood spurted out. At this moment, the peerless genius of the corpse insect, Shuremo, and the peerless genius of the 9 cauldrons divine pavilion, Zhu Zhen, had their hearts pierced and died on the spot. Gulp! The sudden change caused the evil dragon sovereign to swallow a mouthful of saliva. Dead? 2 peerless geniuses, 2 first-grade sovereign realm cultivators, were easily killed by Ningyu? How could the evil dragon sovereign not be shocked? One must know that regardless of whether it was the corpse demon or Zhu Zhen, both of them were cultivators that could confront and even kill a second-grade sovereign. But now, they were killed by Ningyu in a single move. Furthermore, it was the kind of attack that they couldn't even react to. Evil Dragon Sovereign, how is it? Do I have the qualifications to fight with you? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.